nigga ass, loser ass nigga.
Your video with comments about
He's a
certain
loser.
other female.
Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need you.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings. And most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
You can't.
If you a that's for the streets.
You can't delete the ski. You can't delete the ski.
I know a who used to suck dick every month of night.
You can't
delete your
Black woman therapist tired of black women's attitudes.
Men, are you dealing with issues like this? Book a session.
And he told me that women don't apologize and women can't be held accountable. And I began to really think deeply about this idea. And one of the things that came across my mind is, in the last 9 months or so of me being in my private practice, I have myself experienced many women, whether they came in as a couple or they came by themselves, they very abruptly discontinued their therapy. And I started to reflect and really think, what was going on here? And I noticed that after I had to confront them about something, I had to bring to their attention something they were doing that wasn't contributing to the health of the relationship.
When men fail to lead, the children rebel and the women take over.
Black men. We are in the middle of a crisis. Black men are in crisis. And anybody who denies that black men are in crisis is ignoring the data, the science, the research, the statistics.
Well, a grand jury in Mississippi today declined to indict the white woman whose accusations set off the lynching of Emmett Till nearly 70 years ago. Carolyn Bryant Dunham, now 88, initially claimed that Till made unwanted advances towards her at her family's grocery store. It led to the brutal torture and lynching of the 14-year-old. The prosecutor said the grand jury found insufficient evidence to charge Dunham.
Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that, wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
It's opportunism. And no, we can't just ignore it. This really is a public health crisis because they don't just talk amongst themselves. I can take it, okay? I chose this job. So I can deal with silly lies about my sex life. I can deal with lies about who I'm dating. I can deal with lies about the events that I throw. But we see other women get stalked, harassed, degraded. Girls get killed. That's an emergency. It's loneliness. It's opportunism. And no, we can't just ignore it. This really is a public health crisis because they don't just talk amongst themselves. Stalk, harass, degraded, girls get killed. That's an emergency.
Nigga. After that, wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
It's not
not so much an identity, a collective of people who have decided that they are going to flee the United States and find wives. It's more an ideology. And that's where it becomes concerning, because the men are flocking to this ideology, and the connection is not a genuine desire for love and companionship. The connection is disdain, distaste, malice toward American Black women. I was just reading about how effectively the Manosphere generally, and Passport Bros in particular, are able to utilize memes. They speak to each other in memes, written memes and visual memes. We see them over and over and over again, and people are internalizing these ideas and not necessarily connecting these ideas to hashtag Passport Bros, but connecting these ideas explicitly to how loud, ratchet, ghetto, masculine Black women are. And that stuff extends beyond interpersonal relationships.
She lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
Passport Bros are just predators.
I'm not a predator if I sleep with women in America. But if I sleep with women outside of America, I'm a predator. Got you. Guess that means you should stop sleeping with people in different states too, right? You live in Florida. Don't sleep with somebody in Chicago. You're a predator. Logic. The obesity rate in a different country is not as high as America. Stay here and sleep with all the mammoths. Got it? Women in other countries are nice and they look good. Stay here. Deal with somebody who's nice but don't look good. Or deal with somebody who looks good and wants to rob you passively. Nice. I don't think she used logic. I don't think logic matters to her. She's not happy at all. She keeps on forgetting to use her Planet Fitness membership.
Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that, wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
High commodity nowadays, so let's just go ahead and get straight into it. This is another case of Black women not minding their business. Y'all didn't care about meal order brides until Black men happened to make it popular, but of course you feel entitled to being the BBC commander when something no longer benefits you, although these are the same men that you said you didn't want, didn't need, and they are broke. I'm gonna be honest, going overseas to travel frequently and live does not equate to broke. But then again, this just simply speaks to the delusion and hypocrisy of women. These men have been very clear in their message. They've said time and time again they wanted wives, someone they could build with, start their family with, someone they could create a legacy with. What y'all heard was they wanted someone that they can control. Y'all minimize being a wife simply down to being a slave, even so much as telling those other women overseas that they're uneducated and practicing sex tourism. And in turn, a lot of y'all have took your degree and traded it in for an OnlyFans profile. Nobody said anything when women were going to Dubai. We know why you were going. Nobody said anything when women were flying state to state getting flued out. We know what you were doing. Nobody said anything when Nigerian and Jamaican men needed green cards and y'all started falsifying marriage documents so you could drive your Range Rover with your red bottoms. Let's just call a spade a spade. Y'all wanted the option to go back to these men after the man that you really wanted was done dragging you through the mud.
All right, here's a question. Kim, what's going on with you and the Manosphere? Girl, nothing. All I do is say true things like getting a man is not an accomplishment. Being a pick-me won't get you picked. Being successful in dating is not about being the most beautiful. And they get mad. They get outraged.
Shameless you're 60. How shameless can you be? And I have to say that this whole
nigga. After that, wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
I was trying to hug on the kid. And I said, get on. This is a fact, but I'm ugly. I'm a big bird. I got big knees. What do you say? I got big knees? Because
we got brothers who are coming in from Asia, from the tip of South Africa, all the way over to Australia. You know, I've never seen a space where brothers are coming in from as far as they are and participating in everything from discussion to debate on where Black men should go, what Black men should do. So first and foremost, I want to be clear that that's my view of the Black Manosphere as a fairly uncontrolled space, and the potential of that. We didn't have that 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. We didn't have an easily accessible space where something as simple as a smartphone is your entrance. That wasn't available to Black men at any other point in time. Yeah. So that being said, my reason for really wanting to have this discussion and hear from you directly about what you've been experiencing is because of the implication it has for all Black men who want to engage in this free space to actually be able to commune and dialogue with one another. Because really what we're talking about, in my humble assessment, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is free speech versus cancel culture on one level.
Right.
The targeting of particular content creators who some people don't like what they have to say. Right. And I think when it comes to Black men, that's critical that we pay attention to that, because we really haven't enjoyed the kind of opportunity to speak our minds in public this way historically.
If it ain't seven, it ain't kosher. Heaven and hell, that's what they told you. Real men put the strap down and we can toss them. Young heads picking back up and young dolphins. This is our culture. Now we talking kosher. Clinician, masculinity issues, absent fathers who miss you, mama drama don't kiss you, all a part of the ritual, this is how they get you, separate the men, women, clipping babies, pretend to, damn, lovers, haters, acting like vultures, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us, if it ain't seven, it ain't kosher, if it ain't kosher, ain't right, gotta divorce us. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is kosher condition. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. Listen.
All right, guys, we're about to start in a minute. Thank you to the 26 that are watching, guys. Y'all share this stream. I got my man Mamiya Obsidian Ali in the back. We're going to have a very powerful show on tonight. If you guys can hear me, I need you to hit 1. I need you to hit 1. If you can hear me, hit 1. And share the stream, guys. Please share the stream. This show is very important because we're going to be talking about things from a clinical perspective. We're going to be talking also about weaponizing language, and we're going to be talking about also the treatment models that black Manosphere men use in the evolution of change. Get your pens and paper ready, guys. We're going to have a good show tonight. I got my man up sitting in the back, but get your pens and paper. Somebody said I'm low, so hold tight. Let me turn. If you guys can hear me better now, hit 1, please. Hit 1 now if you can hear me better. Hit 1 if you can hear me better now. You guys should be able to hear me better. So we're about to start, guys. Get your pens and paper together, and we're going to have a comprehensive show, guys. Let's go. And what it means to so many black men. What say you? Bringing it to you live once again from the greatest state in the Union, the Tar Heel State, where the topography is serene, pristine, and verdant green, where every day is Father's Day, and where manhood is part of hills and valleys, victories and failures, and whereas men, we don't agree on all things or ideologies, but tonight we come together as allies of a common cause only to dissipate once the crisis is over. Now listen, I'm about to drop some fire for your mind, but before I drop that fire, let's explore why we are doing the Manhood Chronicles.
Fall comes to us in its own time. Finders keepers, losers we.
All right, guys, I got my man upstairs in the house. We're about to kill the game on tonight. Thank you guys for tuning in. This is going to be a very comprehensive show because it's dear to my heart. And it's dear to my heart, guys, because for so many times in the past, there's been many saboteurs that have tried to assail this space, taking a loosely configured group of men that have different ideologies from all different backgrounds. You have professionals like Dr. Ron Neal. You have Dr. T.S. Johnson. You have Dr. Tommy Curry. You have myself, a licensed clinical therapist, and many other educated professional men like Dr. Thunder. And we all come together for a certain cause. We don't agree on all things, and that's fine. But we are loosely organized as we are adjacent to the manosphere. And as professional men, I count it an honor, but also I take great umbrage when a woman or those that are ignorant use shaming tactics and weaponizing language to control the conversation, but also to denigrate the image of the black man. So without further ado, my man Obsidian, how would you like to add to the conversation, Obsidian, and all the vitriol that's been going along and all the negative associations with black men in these spaces?
Hey, what's going on, man?
What's going on, brother?
How you doing, man?
All
yeah, right. You know, as you played in the opening montage right there, you know, it really does speak for itself. I mean, you got this woman out here saying saying all kind of crazy stuff, and they never get checked on it. And I mean, we've seen this before. We saw it with Cynthia G. We see it with a whole bunch of different women, just able to say all kind of crazy stuff about black men, and nobody say anything about it. And I decided to do something about it. I don't take it back. I don't apologize for it. I said what I meant, and I meant what I said.
Yes, sir. Right. And you know, I think what you're saying, Obsidian, is consistent. In certain circles in theology, it says that evil continues when good men stand back and do nothing. And I counted a miscarriage of justice when you castigate the manosphere as a bunch of men that are terrorists, when you have men that are educated like myself. I've been with my woman from 28 years. Carnell Smith, he's been with his wife for several years. Dr. Thunder and many other men that are educated professional men. But the modern woman has been emboldened not to see herself. Many have thinking errors. Many also have irrational thoughts that minimize the efficacy of black men and black boys. And me myself working with boys in the past, I came into this space as an adjacent, but also I came into this space to push the conversation forward about mental wellness and why it's so paramount for black men and black boys. But when you hear a woman take or more or less overgeneralize the whole space and try to truncate it to being terrorist or something of a negative nature, not only is it disingenuous, but it's weaponizing language to control the conversation. What would you say about that?
I wholeheartedly agree, and that's the reason why we're having this conversation right now. It really is a kind of war of ideological worldviews, and it's interesting that this individual refuses to stand in the fire and have to explain her position, but rather uses sleight of hand to try to do it, and that just shows you exactly what we're up against here.
Some have said so many negative things.
Coach, are you there? Your mic just went out.
Can you hear me now?
No, your mic went out. I don't know what happened.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, barely. I don't know what happened with your mic.
All right. Hold on. Hold tight. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
You can hear me good?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. But I was saying that it's unfortunate because it's dangerous, Obsidian, to use weaponizing language to control the conversation and to castigate or to assail innocent men. When you think about Emmett Till, I was listening to some of the shows you had with T.L. Son Johnson, and you think about Emmett Till. I put Emmett Till on the thumbnail for a reason. Many of black men have been destroyed or have lost their lives behind false allegations that have not been substantiated by evidence. And so when you try to truncate black men into a negative light, like so many do, it would be moral for me, you, and other men to come together in unison and stand firm in what we believe and also stand firm in my convictions. But you're correct. The thing I don't like is that those that say they are tolerant are the least tolerant. Those that say they don't like oppression, they do the oppression. What would you say about that?
I agree with you. I agree wholeheartedly. I think that what Kimberly Nicole Foster said in suggesting that passport bros were sex traffickers, essentially saying that these guys are, doing nefarious things with women of overseas, is tantamount to basically, accusing them of doing something to women that's been happening here in the United States. And it's a very, very sordid history. And we know how this thing went. Emmett Till was just one, unfortunately, it's just one of many examples of this sort of thing happening. And that's the reason why I took the stance that I did. And again, I don't apologize for it.
Yeah, man. I commend you for standing firm in your convictions and being unwavering in your convictions and being an advocate for men. Shout out to my man R. Jizzle for the 5. Shout out to that brother R. Jizzle for the 5. Shout out to him. Shout out to my man, the Real Bravado Network, gifted 5, the Culture Connection 5 memberships. I appreciate it. And also shout out to Gregory Scotland, as he's the #1 sponsor of the stream. Gregory Scotland said you have these sneaky females who came in behind Linuses and then played the fake game and turned on the manosphere when the ideals didn't sell. What would you say about that, Obsidian? I think that's a lot of truth to that. What would you say about that?
The idea that there are black women kind of turning against the black manosphere, I don't think that's the single biggest problem that's facing the black manosphere right now. Not even Kimberly Nicole Foster is the single biggest problem facing the black manosphere. I think the single biggest problem facing the black manosphere, to be brutally frank, are the kind of what I refer to as the useful idiots that are kind of like on the fringes of the black manosphere, who want to kind of do black men in. I think that those are the single biggest challenges, and I think it's a good thing that this whole situation has outed them, so we all know who they are now. We can deal with them accordingly.
Yeah. I think that's very true. And it makes a lot of sense. One of the things I was very impressed with, Obsidian, is that as you continue to galvanize men, men that you probably agree with or disagree with, they were so kind to bring you into the graces and allow you to speak. What does that say about the testament of masculinity and how men sharpen one another when we can lay aside our petty differences?
I think it's a very good sign. I was just talking to another brother, my man General Tito, earlier.
Yeah, yes, sir. I was looking at it.
And he made a really good point that it's very important that black men galvanize and kind of circle the wagons, because the impression otherwise is to say that these guys kind of fall apart like tissue paper. And I've been very, very humbled and heartened to see so many brothers kind of like coalesce and say, nah, man, we're not gonna go out like this. We're not gonna put up with this censorship. We're not going to put up with this intimidation. We're not going to put up with these lies, these attempts to destroy other black women because they dare to disagree with these modern black feminists. We're not going to go for it. And I'm very happy to see that. I'm very heartened by that.
And I've said it many times, and I'll show you the theoretical implication that I'm talking about. But I always use Dr. William Glasser. I'm going to talk about narrative therapy too. But needs drive behavior, Obsidian. Needs drive behaviors. Many times in practice, I hear men that are in therapy saying the same thing that men in these spaces say. The problem is we don't live in a world where men are given the credence to speak truth to power, to say the things that they believe in, because they are afraid that it's going to come with negative consequences. In a relationship, Obsidian, there's healthy positive reinforcement that should be congruent for man and woman. But in a relationship where one is getting positive reinforcement by saying the black woman is God, your mom is black, happy wife, happy life, that's not healthy for the mental wellness of a man. In a good relationship, men and women both benefit. The man should benefit and the woman should benefit. But it becomes a one-sided conversation, sadly, here in the West, that if men don't placate and more or less placate to the fickle whims of the women that they're dealing with, it's a problem. And one of the things I took umbrage with was a fancy notion that, even though we talk about women, because women is evergreen content, black men want to be with black women. But the black women, sadly, some or many that we see now, they don't live up to what you and I saw in the past. They don't believe in service. They don't believe in respect. They don't believe in fairness. They don't believe in treating their men with a modicum of grace and decorum. And because of that, Dr. Glasser said power, fun, freedom, belonging, and survival are the 5 elements that men are looking for. When the person not getting those needs met, Obsidian, they go out and look for in other spaces. Thus began the Passport Bro movement. It's proliferating, it's growing, and men are beginning to realize that not only they have power outside the contextual framework of America, but they have power abroad. What would you say to that?
I would say that not only what you said is spot on, but even Kimberly Nicole Foster herself knows that what you just said is spot on. She says in her victory lap, which she calls, don't call it a victory lap video, she uses the words, and I quote, getting rid of me, quote unquote, was a Pyrrhic victory. Those were her words, because the Black Manosphere now has become mainstream.
Right.
It is the coin of the realm. We have changed the dynamic. We have changed the conversation. The Passport Bros are, viral. They are mainstream now. Many of our talking points and positions are mainstream. And the fact that she had to go to such extents, such lengths to be a spoiler, just goes to show just how weak her own positions are. And this is the reason why I was able to debunk all of them, not only in terms of video, but also in terms of the written word, and which will be coming out in a book later this year about modern Black feminism.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate, man, because you will always assume, Obsidian, that they wanted to be the arbiters of truth and free speech instead of being the arbiters of oppression. Shout out to the Real Bravado Network. Once again, guys, thank you to the Real Bravado Network for those $5 memberships. He gifted 5 memberships. Guys, make sure y'all thank that good brother. Because, guys, that's what it's all about, growth and development as black men. But without further ado, guys, I want to send a special thanks to my man, the Salty Balls, a professional brother like myself that I respect highly. Him and I have had many conversations in private. A professional man of the same ilk. He is the #1 sponsor of the stream. Salty Balls said this: the statement and the healer are beyond the columns of the public square. They use rhetorical prowess, logic, and oratorical might to smite their enemies into oblivion. Hark, eunuchs, she-heathens, and weirdos, enshrouded in the shallows and envy, watching, we see you. Yes, they're watching the shallows, Obsidian. And Solid Balls, you, as of now, are the #1 sponsor of this stream, brother. I appreciate it. Shout out to my man, Kosher Apprentice, the International Quiet Storm. He said for tonight's therapy session, Machismo TV fully supports Kosher Clinician and Obsidian. Shout out to him for that $50 spot, showing some love early on, and I appreciate it. And that's a deal, right? I appreciate it. The International Quiet Storm always showing love, and that's what it's all about. I appreciate the International Quiet Storm. I appreciate it, brother. Shout out once again to Salty Balls for the 10. He's at corner of the rim in this dominion here today. I proudly proclaim forever more. One Lizzo equals $100. One Oprah equals 50. And then also shout out to my man, Gregor Scotland for the $20 spot. And these brothers are the #1 sponsors of the stream. Guys, do me a favor, share this stream on tonight. It's a very important show for Obsidian and I. Share the stream, guys. I really appreciate it. I need y'all to push this stream because we want to make sure the black male image is being respected and honored in the current world that we live in, because we know that there are saboteurs that are trying to silence these powerful conversations. But Obsidian, you said something very powerful, man. It's good that black men are coming together for once. We're having cogent conversations, and we're trying to push the narrative. It's so powerful when men come together as one. Oh, how good, Obsidian, it is for the brethren to dwell together in unity. And once again, we might not always agree on all things or ideologies, but we come together as allies of a common cause, Obsidian, only to dissipate when the crisis is over. There's a crisis, Obsidian, when it comes down to the denigration and the desecration of the black male image. You have been one of the clarion callers. Kevin Samuels was one, and many other content creators, including myself. This galvanization that you are seeing, what do you think it's going to do as we continue to make our brand strong and make what we're trying to do as men strong?
I think it's going to continue to galvanize black men. The number of sheer calls I've gotten from brothers that want me to come on their channel to speak about these things has been like unbelievable. I have a newfound respect for politicians and celebrities because they do, interviews back to back. Man, that is not easy. I've been doing nothing but interviews back to back for the past few weeks, and it has been nothing but really humbling, and boy, does it tire you out. I am.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah.
So, I have a lot of respect for politicians and other public figures. Doing these interviews ain't no joke, but I'm very, very happy to do them. And if anybody wants me to come on this show, I'm ready, willing, and able anytime.
Well, I'm going to show you something, Obsidian. Guys, go check out Obsidian on Rumble. But, I'm going to show you what I think this space is and what it's about. I don't know if you ever heard of Dr. Irving Yalom, but he was one of the formulators or one of the progenitors of a concept called group therapy. And we're going to talk about it in a minute, but let me show you this real quick. Hold on.
Yalom revolutionized group therapy with principles that emphasize mutual support, fostering connections, and exploring emotions in a safe space. Through his work, he highlighted the power of sharing experiences and finding common ground in a group setting. Yalom's approach encourages participants to build trust, encourage empathy, and discover personal insights through interactions with others. His principles have influenced countless therapists and continue to shape the field of group therapy today.
When you hear that, that sounds like the Manosphere, in my opinion. What do you say about that?
I think it does. I think it does indeed. And the attempts to try to shut it down just tells you how weak modern black feminism actually is. And modern black feminism was so great, why they need to try to shut down the other side?
Right.
Why don't you just present just better ideas and go from there? They don't have better ideas, and it shows.
And you know, Dr. Irvin Yalom said this, Obsidian. He said it succinctly. He said that there were 11 principles associated with group therapy. And it's going to make a lot of sense once I break it down. But he said one was called comparing evidence, or comparing the evidence. Does that not sound like the manosphere in your opinion? Comparing the evidence.
I do. I think that the evidence, I think that the black manosphere has been so successful, and even by her own admission, Kimberly Nicole Foster admits this, because we're very successful in being able to communicate in a way that black men and even many black women can recognize, and we're very effective at it. And that's the reason why she and others of her ilk will never be able to defeat us that way. The only way that they can defeat us is by presenting better ideas and better arguments, and we know that they can't do that.
Yeah. And you know, when I hear so many ignorant people, man, try to assail what we're trying to do, they really don't understand. They're not educated enough. That's why I love talking with you, because when I talk with you, it's easy. It's a lot of slow people on the internet, and when you have highly educated men like yourself and I, you are a self-made learner, an didactical polymath. I went to universities and studied and learned and worked hard. But this is what Dr. Yalom said, Obsidian, because this is exactly what the manosphere is. But this woman won't understand, and many others don't understand it, because they always see men through the lens of using language to weaponize the conversation. Dr. Yalom said that it's altruism. Do you see altruism in the manosphere, Obsidian?
I do. As a matter of fact, I've been the recipient of a lot of altruism just this month alone. And that's just one example of many. There's a lot of really good meaning brothers that want to help each other, and they do. I personally witnessed it. I personally benefited from it. So I would say,
Right. Do you see what's called cohesion? Do you see that?
I do. I do see cohesion. You've been at the Black Manosphere Conclave last year, and man, I mean, the cohesion is great. We've sold more tickets in the past month for this year's conclave than we did for the entire first quarter for last year's conclave, and that's the biggest conclave we've had yet. So those are just two little examples of unit cohesion, so to speak, in the Black Manosphere. I think it's wonderful.
All right. Dr. Yalom also talked about curative factors, and this is normally modified or utilized as a modality in group therapy. He called it installation of hope. I've always said this succinctly. I've always said that a hopeless man is a broken man, Obsidian, and a broken man is a dangerous man. A broken man is a dangerous man. The problem with so many trying to silence men is that they're pushing the potentiality of violence, the things that they don't want to see themselves. So when you try to suppress the thoughts of so many men and want them to more or less tell the narrative consistent with how you see it based on your perception, it becomes a problem. So the installation of hope gives so many men hope. You would be surprised, Obsidian, how many men that tell me in private that they've been blessed by what I do, what you do, and what other men do. Because for so long, they never had other men to tell them, other people to tell them their story. They thought that they were crazy. But when they hear you saying the same thing, me saying the same thing, and others, it's the installation of hope that galvanizes them and make them feel good about themselves. What do you say about that?
I 100% agree. I think that, and that's the reason why I'm not, with this doom and gloom type messaging of some of the darker corners of the Black Manosphere. I have a very hopeful message, and I try to live a very hopeful life. And I hope that other brothers see that and follow suit and kind of spread it around. Yeah, Kosher, you went out again.
I went out again?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. Can you hear me?
Barely. For some reason, your sound went out. I don't know what happened.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're a bit lower, but I can hear you now.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with these speakers. Hold on for a minute. Let me try to turn this thing up some more. I don't know what's going on with this. All right, so you can hear me now, right?
I can hear you, but you're still low.
I got it all the way turned up. All right. Give me 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
Yeah.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So yeah, they talked about the installation of hope, Obsidian. That's one. That is one thing that's consistent with Dr. Irvin Yalom. But then he said the universality of brotherhood. That's something I've always strived to talk about. I call it the universal.
You went out again.
Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Fine now. Go ahead.
All right. The universality of brotherhood. What does that mean to you, the universality of brotherhood, which in essence say we all have a universal struggle? Would you agree with that based on what you've seen?
I do. I think that our brothers from other mothers, our white brothers and other non-black brothers, they're experiencing major challenges as well, and there are definite parallels to what's going on. And this is the reason why Rumble is so important. You look at what's going on over there. A lot of those guys have run into the exact same trouble that I and other brothers like Fresh and Fit or Tommy Sotomayor have run to.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think the spirit of liberty is resonating with so many men. You talked about the senile nature of this current president, and he led to this Marxist ideology and Marxist thought. What would you say about that?
I agree. I think it's definitely Marxist. And again, part of the communist paradigm is to shut down people that they don't like or disagree with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what cancel culture is. Right. It's inherently anti-American. It's inherently communistic, and I'm going to stand toe to toe against it and fight it tooth and nail.
Well, I'm proud of you, man. You have a very strong. You're very resilient, man. I'm very impressed with your level of resilience. You personify the true nature of Semper Fidelis. You definitely personify that, and I've said that before in the past. But also, Irvin Yalom talked about this is a fancy term, Obsidian. It's called corrective recapitulation, and I'm gonna break it down. Corrective recapitulation means this, Obsidian. It means to go back in the past, to correct the things that held you a slave or rendered you hopeless, and start all over again. Go back into the past, correct the things that held you renderless or hopeless in the past, and start back over again. What do you say about that and the Black Manosphere is what we're trying to do for so many of these young men?
You're introducing me to some brand new terminologies. I've never heard of them before, but I see it in practice all the time in the Black Manosphere.
Yes, sir.
I think it's great.
Yes, sir. Right. Then Dr. Yalom talked about developing of socializing techniques. Development of socializing techniques, basically becoming skilled at becoming social, and being less socially awkward, I would say. They always talk about and assume that men in these spaces are all awkward and weird. What do you think about the socialization of men coming together? How does that enhance the mental wellness of men, in your opinion, Obsidian?
Well, first of all, we have to look at the people who are, claiming that we're so weird. Look at them. They're the ones that's weird. They're the ones that's awkward. They're the ones that don't have a social life of any consequence. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Number two, we demonstrate just how socially adroit we are with the conclave. And those who speak against us cannot offer any type of counter evidence of their own. Mm-hmm. So I would say consider the source.
Right. He said number 7 was imitative behavior. It basically means, Obsidian, that we are imitating one another with similar stories, with similar levels of frequency, but also trying to personify one universality of thought, meaning we're all saying the same thing in that Black men have the right to self-determination, Black men have the right to be respected, Black men would not be silenced, Black men would speak up in unison as one and come against the arbiters of hate and those that try to silence us. Is that not imitative behavior in your opinion?
I do think so. These are you're educating me today, brother, because I've never heard this before.
Right. And then Dr. Yalom Obsidian talked about interpersonal learning. We're all learning through one another. We're sharing our stories. We're sharing our pain. Interpersonal learning. Do you see interpersonal learning not only during what's called digital media, because I call this cyber group therapy, but also in the conclave?
I do. I think a big part of what goes on in the Black Manosphere, and especially at the Black Manosphere Conclave, is indeed, teaching and learning from each other. I know that's definitely been the case with me. I learned a lot from the brothers, from talking with them, fellowshipping with them, listening to them, listening to what they have to say. I learned a whole lot. So yeah.
And then Dr. Yalom said group cohesiveness. I think that's been manifest by all the interviews you've been getting. Group cohesiveness. As I said earlier, men set aside their petty differences for the greater good of men rights and men efficacy. Would you agree with that?
I would. A lot of brothers are really appalled by what they're seeing as just straight up censorship, and they really kind of galvanized behind that. And I'm really heartened to see it.
Yes, sir. And then Dr. Yalom talked about a catharsis. Now, listen, so many times I'm sitting, people talk about the red pill rage. Kubler-Ross talked about there were 5 stages of grief. And she said it was denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Consistent with theology, it says, God grant me to accept the things that I cannot change, but the knowledge and the courage of seeing to know the difference. It's a catharsis. See, when people say, but that's all they do is talk about women, or they talk about whatever, I liken the manosphere of sitting to a conveyor belt. It's a conveyor belt where men are on a belt, and some men are leaving, they're leaving whole and well, but then there are other men coming in. So it's almost like preaching the gospel. You don't stop preaching the gospel because other men have heard it. Everybody haven't heard it, so you got to keep preaching it. So it's a catharsis because men are sharing their stories. They're sharing their pain. They're sharing their hopes. They're sharing their aspirations. Because many times I'm sitting, they never had a vacuum, or they never had a voice to speak about their pain in the first place. Would you agree with that?
I most certainly would agree with it. And I think it is interesting to see just how far the other side is willing to go to try to stop us from speaking in our own voices. I think that really just says it all right there.
Yes, sir. And then I'm gonna talk about it one more time from the clinical perspective, because I want to make sure I'm always clinical, because you got your slow folks that don't think even though I'm superior with my education, they I guess they don't think I'm the real deal. But I'm going to show you this also, Obsidian. So this is called narrative therapy. It basically means Obsidian to tell your own narrative. Narrative therapy is a way of telling your own story based on your own perception. Let me show you this. Hold tight.
Therapy is a method of mental health treatment that may help separate a person from their personal challenges or enable individuals to take control of their own lives. This therapeutic process may assist people in relying on their internal skills and emotional tools to overcome life's difficulties. The idea behind narrative therapy seeks to convey that our life is a compilation of life stories, and we can give our lives meaning through the little narrative structures within them, the vignettes that unfold within a person's larger story. By narrating your life story and embracing non-blaming and non-pathological principles, you could experience growth in ways you might not have thought possible. In a narrative therapy session, a therapist may assist you in identifying dominant problematic stories in your life and help you explore unique outcomes. They might guide you in rewriting specific patterns so you no longer perceive yourself as a product of circumstance. Instead, you'll become a force for change, overcoming old and unhealthy beliefs, and embracing life-affirming stories to progress toward a brighter future. Through this approach to narrative therapy, you can gain the benefits of decreased symptoms and increased empowerment in facing personal challenges. The client as the expert.
Why is it so important, Obsidian, for black men to tell their own narrative, in your opinion? Because narrative therapy is a treatment model that many professionals like myself use. But why do you think it's so important for men to tell their own narrative, Obsidian?
I think the reason why is pretty evident in what's going on with my situation. If you don't speak out on your own behalf and you leave it to other people to do it, they are going to spin it against you. I mean, that's if anybody wants to see any evidence that they don't have to go any further than what's going on with me right now. It's very important for black men to speak up. And it's very important, brothers, while I'm on this point, to support black male media and support the brothers who are willing to take a risk on your behalf. Very, very important.
And it's done wonders for so many black men, Obsidian. It's done wonders for so many black men. And not only that, just the whole notion of support that we're getting on tonight. Shout out to my man, Top Gun. He said at the gym, getting a workout, listening in the background. Focus on self, brothers, and the rest will come. Salute to the host in the chats, you may proceed. I appreciate it, brother. And guys, we got a heavy hitter in the house. Once again, Salty Balls. He said, "Down, brethren, let's continue to support our scholars." That's another educated professional man as him. And RBN are the number one sponsors of the stream. Shout out to my man RBN, number one sponsor of the stream. I'm trying to pull it up. Hold tight. Let me go back up a little bit. I didn't see it. Let me go back up. There we go. RBN is the number one sponsor of the stream for the $100 piece. And that's what it's all about, Obsidian. I don't think our haters like it. And I heard you talk about it when they see so much support from other men. How would you like to add to that?
I think it is very true. I've written about the fact that Kimberly Nicole Foster and other modern black feminists like her pocket watch the hell out of the black manosphere. A lot of what they do is motivated by envy of the fact that we're able to, coalesce brothers around a cause and raise, significant amounts of money.
Right.
And I think, what I say to that is, eat your heart out, baby. That's what I say.
Yeah, here's another good brother, Obsidian. My man, RBN, he's showing a lot of love. He said, black men need to come together, come to aid of other black men. It's most important to come to the aid when we disagree. Obsidian betting ban could happen to all of us. Brother, I would love to have you on sometime. We got to support the common cause, even when we disagree. That's another content creator, good brother, good content, excellent producer. If you want this information, Obsidian, I'll give it to you, and we can reach out, and I'll give Real Bravado Network your information. But shout out to the Real Bravado Network, as he is the number one sponsor of this stream thus far, followed by my man Salty Balls. He is the number one sponsor of the stream, and I appreciate it, sir. Thank you. Real Bravado Network, followed by Salty Balls and Gregory Scotland, and also the International Quiet Storm. They're the number one sponsors. But Obsidian, we talked about this on my last show. And I call it weaponizing language. We're going to get back into that in some minute. But let me finish playing this about the narrative therapy real quick. And then we're going to finish playing the other parts. Hold tight.
In many types of therapy, the client may come to the therapist seeking guidance. We often view our counselors as more intelligent or capable than ourselves. Narrative therapy focuses on the fact that therapists are human beings, too. They have an education in psychology, but they also have flaws and make mistakes as humans. While narrative therapy involves telling stories to a therapist and having a therapeutic relationship, a significant aspect of narrative therapy is that the client gets to be the expert. As the client, you know the story of your life. You can tell it because you've lived it. Narrative therapists may help illustrate what could be painful patterns or unhealthy beliefs in your dominant story. However, as the writer of your own story, you make the final decisions. In a typical session, the client may discuss aspects of their dominant story in depth, and the therapist may guide them along the way while supporting them through the process as the story gains richness. A qualified narrative therapist may help you work through the narrative ideas you have and help you remember why you started narrative therapy in the first place. The foundation of this method may be that objective reality and memories are social constructs, and our interactions with other people form a particular sequence that can influence what we see as real. Narrative therapists may believe there is no absolute truth. Your perception is your reality, and what may be true for one person won't necessarily be accurate for someone else.
Why is the perception of the black man often mired in obscurity, in your opinion?
I think the black man is often mired in obscurity because, to be brutally frank, more black men haven't been speaking up.
Right.
In my opinion, we got to ditch this idea of being the strong and silent black man.
Right.
We can't do that. We live in a country where the squeaky wheel gets the grease. So we need to speak up more, and we need to support those that speak up on our behalf more.
Yes, sir. I agree with that 100%. Shout out to Sister Navoa for the $2 Cash App. Shout out to, once again to Greg Scotland. He's also one of the #1 sponsors of the stream. He says, shout out to the educated red men of the Black Manosphere, Kosher, Obsidian, BGS, Dr. Thunder, Dr. Tiosan Johnson, Dr. Curry, Edward Anderson, Angry Man, and more, including Dr. Neil. Dr. Neil has a book out. I don't know if you know about Obsidian.
I do.
But he has a book out now. He has a very powerful, but that's my homeboy. He's in the Tar Heel State. Edward Anderson is in the Tar Heel State. And so is the Angry Man. All four of us, we both are in the Tar Heel State. So we got very prominent content creators in the Tar Heel State. Shout out to all those guys. And he has a good book that's it's hot on the press, guys. Make sure y'all check out Dr. Neil's book. Shout out also to my man, Barry Hamilton's support for the Coach Clinician and the esteemed guest, Mamiya Obsidian Ali. You know, the power of men coming together and galvanizing one another is important. And many times they try to suppress us through, I call it psychological warfare. And you and I have talked about Obsidian once again in the past show, and that's called weaponizing language. As weaponizing language, Obsidian, and it's also under the irrational thought process of catastrophizing. We've talked about it in the past. But it's weaponizing language, Obsidian, to more or less obscure or keep men silent and try to shame men and more or less paint us in a negative light. When you hear the word, Obsidian, that the Black Manosphere is full of terrorists, what comes to your mind, brother?
Crazy people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the people that say things like that, I think they're crazy. And I think we need to start, actively saying just that, because there is absolutely no evidence of terrorism. This is all made up in their head.
Right.
And I think we need to call them for what they are, hysterical and crazy.
When you hear the words abusive, what does that mean to you, Obsidian? Abusive. When you hear words, or actually, I'm gonna let you pick your top 5 words. The top words you see on this list that assail the Manosphere. Yeah, I'll let you pick your words.
The whole litany. Abusive, terrorist. All of it all of it simply means is I'm mad because you got a good argument and I can't counter it. That's all it means. All it means.
And one of the things I find crazy, Obsidian, the ageism. They always use old. Like, I think this woman called you 60 years old, which I'm like, Obsidian is not 60. And that's when you start using ageism, I thought that was in the lexicon of I didn't think it was in the lexicon of these leftists, in my opinion. What's your take on that?
Well, actually, it is. I mean, to be a leftist is to be a stomped down hypocrite and constantly contradict yourself. But this is a woman that herself is solidly in her mid-30s, never married, no children, difficulty with it, and she's going to go and talk about somebody else's age. I don't think so.
And to those that like to use the word old, which is funny to me, many times, Obsidian, they're either 5 years or maybe 10 years younger than us. But then on top of that, if you wanted to, you could still have a baby. You could still make babies. You could make several babies. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, very much so. By the way, I don't need any help with the blue pill and all that.
Right. You can still make babies at 50, in your mid-50s. At 52, I can still make them. Actually, you and I can make babies damn near up to 80 if we're healthy. But the truth is, when a woman gets a certain age, one could argue that she's really the one that's old, even though chronologically she might be younger than us. But when it comes down to fertility-wise, she's old. Her time is up. Would you agree with that?
I would. As a matter of fact, I would go a step further than that. It's not just a timing thing. It's also an inborn thing. And, this is the reason why she's kind of obsessed with other women who she believes has children. You kind of project what it is that you're obsessed about. So
that's interesting. I never thought of it like that, but it could be a lot of projection. But she said public health crisis, creepy, weird, tactical patriarchy, dangerous. That public health crisis and dangerous is what befuddled me because I'm like, how are we dangerous? Because we want to have a voice and our worldview is counterintuitive to her worldview. I'm a little confused. Obsidian.
Well, it's not nothing new. It's not hard. I mean, this is somebody again who, every time I think of Kimberly Nicole Foster, I'm thinking of the psycho theme in the background. And this is somebody who a lot of her own issues are in her own head. And we are okay with women that are kind of a bit touched, and I don't think we should be. I think we should call it for what it is,
Right.
and go from there. We need to bring the orderlies back in the nice white straitjackets.
Well, let me show you something, man, because this kind of talking, this kind of nomenclature is dangerous. And we're gonna take a look at these clips, Obsidian, and we're gonna break this thing down. So hold tight. Hold tight.
We are in the middle of a crisis. Black men are in crisis. Married black men. We are in the middle of a crisis. Black men are in crisis. And anybody who denies.
So if black men are in crisis, wouldn't it be counterintuitive to silence the voice of black men if they're in crisis? Educate me, please, sir.
Well, I mean, that's just it. I mean, they want black men. They want to talk about black men as if we're in crisis. But as soon as we say anything about it, no, you can't say anything about it. They want to silence us. So which one is it?
Right. I totally agree. Hold tight.
That black men are in crisis is ignoring the data, the science, the research, the statistics.
Well, a grand jury in Mississippi today declined to indict the white woman whose accusations set off the lynching of Emmett Till nearly 70 years ago. Carolyn Bryant Dunham, now 88, initially claimed that Till made unwanted advances towards her at her family's grocery store. It led to the brutal torture and lynching of the 14-year-old. The prosecutor said the grand jury found insufficient.
I'm saying, was this a cyber lynching in your opinion, in your honest opinion? Was this a cyber lynching in your opinion?
What happened to me?
Yes, sir.
I probably would, Clarence Thomas over 30 years ago called what happened to him an electronic lynching. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, I would.
And I heard you say, parenthetically, Obsidian, you were talking about the pernicious thing that happened to, what's his name, Emmett Till. And it resonated with me. I said, wow, that's powerful. Where do you see the parallels in Emmett Till, these so-called leftists that say they believe in social justice, but they're actually promulgating the same thing that they actually complain about? What would you say about that?
Well, once again, I think the whole issue about, a public health crisis, digital terrorist, sex trafficker, these are the type of things that have been said about black men in previous times. Emmett Till, made unwanted advances to me. He raped me and all that sort of thing. And next thing you know, the brother is swinging, from a tree. And the only difference back then is that it was white women doing it. Today, it's black women doing it. What's the difference?
Yeah, and it's weird. It's like the selective outrage or the schizoid thinking to me. It's crazy because I've always said, Obsidian, if you don't agree with a man, that's fine if you don't agree with them. But don't try to mess with people's livelihood. You got people that try to dox you. They're trying to call your employers. I don't understand that level of vitriol, Obsidian. I don't understand it.
Neither do I. I've never done anything like that to anybody. I've never suggested to my listeners to go and call somebody's places of employment and try to get them fired. I've never made statements saying that this person shouldn't work in thus and so industry. I've never done anything like that, but this individual has done it. That's the reason why she's her situation is looking very tenuous legally these days.
When those that say, Obsidian, that the black woman is the right hand of white supremacy, how would you add to that? Is that true to some and with some sisters in your opinion?
I'm very sad to report that it's more than a ring of truth to it. Very sad to report that. I don't like it, but yeah, there is a there there.
In what ways would you say, Obsidian?
I think that look at the current situation right now. As soon as she couldn't actually come back with a counter argument, what does she do? Run the white zat. So there you go.
Yeah, and and on one end you got animus with the so-called quote unquote colonizer, but on the other end you seek to use the colonizer to oppress those that you disagree with. If you really believe in brotherhood, in my opinion, if you believe in brotherhood, if you believe in the fortification of black men and the black woman, even if you disagree with them, you don't seek to destroy them. Would you not agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly. And you can kind of tell by the results of these people. They don't, it really is sad. The true grifters are people like Kimberly Nicole Foster, because they don't offer any real solutions for their women. Year on year, they continue to be single and unhappy, and it really is sad.
You know, Jeremiah Wright said it famously, and he said,
America's chickens
are coming home
to roost.
And he said the chicken coming home to roost. You had a group Obsidian called The Mix, I believe, or you were spearheading your own show on Facebook. I forgot. I think you and your girlfriend were. But what are you seeing in these dating circles with so many men checking out? What do you see as a trajectory as so many men are becoming indifferent and they're checking out from traditional relationships? What are you seeing, sir?
I think that it's something that is rational. When something's not working for you, you stop doing it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, clearly, dating and mating is not working in Black America. A lot of Black men are just dropping out. Some are leaving, going the passport bro route. Others, a few go the interracial route. But there's a lot of guys who just drop out altogether and just say, screw it. And the other thing, too, is The Mix was not my baby. That was Kevin's. Mm-hmm. That was his Facebook group, The Mix. I did not create it, although I am a member of it. Okay, all right, fair enough. I'm going to finish playing some of these earmarks by this woman. Hold tight. And hold tight.
Of the 14-year-old, the prosecutor said the grand jury found insufficient evidence to charge Dunham.
Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that, wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
It's opportunism. And no, we can't just ignore it. This really is a public health crisis because they don't just talk amongst themselves. I can take it, okay? I chose this job. So I can deal with silly lies about my sex life. I can deal with lies about who I'm dating. I can deal with lies about the events that I throw. But we see other women get stalked, harassed, degraded. Girls get killed.
That's irresponsible.
That straight up the face is insanity. I mean,
yes, sir. Right.
I ask everybody in the chat room, does that look like the face of someone sane to you? Seriously. Just look at the face.
That's irresponsible, man. That's highly irresponsible when you try to castigate every Black man in this space as being nihilistic, which basically means we're hopeless. And we know that there's a black pill element to the manosphere. But every man is not black pill. Some are red pill, some are purple, some are black. But that's irresponsible in my opinion. Why is this language or rhetoric so dangerous, Obsidian, as it relates to destroying the marring the image of Black men, in your opinion?
Well, it's definitely dangerous if it's left unchecked. And the reason why is we can look at, the Emmett Tills of Black America, which there are far too many in our past. And here's the interesting thing. She accuses me of being a liar when she's a liar herself. She says, I can take it. Then she turns around and says, I got to get rid of him. Stop it. You couldn't take it.
Give me credence on what do you mean by she's a liar? Break it down for me.
Well, she says that she can take it. She asked for this job. And then she turns around and says, we need to get rid of him because, this is my job. I can't do my job on YouTube anymore. Well, wait a minute. Didn't you just say that you're a public figure and you can take it?
Right. And then, we talked about the ageism a minute ago. We're going to get back to that in a minute. But let me finish playing some of this. And I want to make sure I'm clear. I'm not here to attack this woman. I don't even know her. I didn't know anything about her until I saw your shows a couple of times. But I don't have any issues with this woman per se, because we know that there are people that would try to go back saying whatever, and I really don't give a what. But I don't have any animus against this woman. But I do take great umbrage when you take salient talking points, when you castigate men into a negative light, when you have educated men like myself, a licensed therapist, great men like Carnell Smith, that's an advocate for men, Dr. T.S. Johnson, Dr. Ron Neal, Dr. Tommy Curry, and many other educated men, Dr. Ron Neal, and we all understand the negative plights and the struggles that we have as men. This space is cyber art therapy, and I call it cyber art therapy. I'm saying it because of this. It's taking urban trends, whereas I, as a licensed therapist, take urban trends and I truncate it more or less into clinical concepts to help men tell their stories and to help them unpack their pain. That's why these conversations are so powerful. But it's also very unique, Obsidian, because not only does it resonate consistent with Dr. Irvin Yalom, but it resonates with some of the stories that so many men are saying. And when you hear these Brokeback Mountain men going around talking about, well, that's all they do is argue and talk about women. What do you say to that high level of criticism?
I say look at the source. Mm-hmm. These are guys who tend to be not very successful. I have yet to hear successful brothers come after me or anyone else in the Black Manosphere. It's always the guys who are not successful, and they need to examine why that is.
Give me some. You said the brothers are not successful. I mean, well, you don't have to say their names. That's fine. That's fine. But let me finish playing this. Hold tight.
That's an emergency. It's loneliness. It's opportunism. And no.
Now, Obsidian, I'm not lonely. I've been married for 20 years. You're not lonely. You've been married for 20. You've been with your girl for a long period of time. Dr. Thunder, he's married. He's been with his wife for a period of time. Richard Mack has had plenty of women. He was in Hollywood. Guapo is married. He's been married several times. He's married now. But this harmful language of trying to cast all Black men into this negative light is irresponsible, in my opinion. What would you say about that?
Yeah, once again, this is more projection. This is a woman who just recently got a boyfriend within the last year, talking about somebody being lonely. This is somebody who, just rides on the idea that the Black Manosphere are just losers in the basement. And many of us have been with our ladies longer than. I mean, she was still in high school when we got together with our women. Right. So again, she's just projecting. She is heading up the Lonely Hearts Club, literally over there. That's what modern Black feminists do.
So when you say lonely hearts, meaning too many masculine men are not going to be with them. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, indeed.
Right. I'm going to show you something, Obsidian, because once again, these are irrational thoughts, and we're going to look at this thing clinically because these are cognitive distortions. A lot of Obsidian is the minimization of masculinity, but the magnification of the divine feminine. Do you see men needs and their rights being minimized and women pushing their own needs and rights or aggrandizing their needs and rights at the behest of Black men? Are you seeing that?
I do. I mean, as a matter of fact, we all saw it together with Ice Cube a few years back when he tried to present a program for Black America. The Black women that were interviewing him on Fox Soul said, no, you got to have a separate section for us and put us at the forefront. And he was shocked. Mm-hmm. We all saw that.
Mm-hmm. 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 And then also, it's what I talked about. It's called catastrophizing. Seeing only the worst possible outcomes of situations. That's why I used that about that weaponizing language. Do you see many women in modern times having irrational thoughts in the realm of catastrophizing? If so, tell me what you see in it, Obsidian.
Well, I mean, Kimberly Nicole Foster is just one big catastrophe. Everything is the sky is falling. Somebody's coming out to get me. The walls are closing in. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, like I said, crazy.
The next one is called overgeneralization, making broad interpretation of a single event. Overgeneralization, which is a thinking error. How often do you see women overgeneralize Black men? I think they did it succinctly for men in the Black Manosphere. But how many times do you see them overgeneralize, in your opinion?
Oh, geez, it's like all the time. Mm-hmm. All the time they do this, and and they're allowed to get away with it. That's the thing that really traps my hide. Mm-hmm. They do it, and they're allowed to get away with it. They're allowed to do it with impunity, and that's something that, and I know that that's what it is that she wanted to do. She wanted to try to shut me down, and I'm so glad that you and others have reached out to me. General Tito said, yeah, you need to be on the air 3 times a day. So, yeah,
Right.
I'm glad about that, yeah.
Yeah. And, it sounds like some of also is personalization, where she's personalizing or projecting that you were talking about earlier, but she's personalizing some of her struggles and her pains and more or less transmitting it or transferring it to others. We use a term obsidian in the clinical world called transference. Transference happens when the client or the person that's treating them reminds them of someone in their past, good or bad. Could it be that some of these women in these spaces are transferring some of their pain through projection due to somebody in their past that hurt them, and therefore they see all men in a negative light? Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I absolutely do see that. And it really is sad to see, to be brutally frank. I absolutely do see that.
Yeah, and then here's another thinking error that I see. It's called disqualifying the positive, recognizing only the negative aspects of a situation while ignoring the positive. Now listen to this, Obsidian. They always say the black men don't build. The Manosphere Conclave had professional men from all backgrounds come together in unison to empower black boys and men. But not one time did you hear anyone talk about anything positive about the Conclave. Why is that?
Because they need to cling to their narrative, and that's the problem with Nicole Foster. Every part of her narrative I debunked. She said that the passport bros were sex traffickers. I showed who was the real sex traffickers. She said that the black manosphere don't like educated women. I proved her wrong. She said that the black manosphere don't attract women. I proved her wrong. I mean, every point that she made, I proved with receipts, flat out wrong, and she spazzed out.
Yeah, man, and it's unfortunate, and I think it's dangerous, with this SEG tourism thing, because listen to this, Obsidian. We can all agree that white women go to Gambia for the explicit fact to get men, get black Africans, and also some of our women go to Jamaica. But when you go to Brazil or Colombia or some of those countries, when you go to the latter countries, it's illegal to solicit others for favors. That's illegal. But if you go to Brazil, and if you go to some of these Latin countries, it's not illegal. Do you see my point?
I do.
So how can it be tourism? Let's say one is aggressive tourism, because some of these women have been complicit in aggressive tourism. But when you go to a country where women are trying to solicit you, then how's that tourism? That's like saying if I go to Nevada, Las Vegas, that's tourism. Doesn't mean that black men go to Las Vegas, Nevada, they're all going for tourism. Doesn't mean
exactly.
Think about that, man.
Yeah.
If we go to Nevada, okay, is that tourism? And then on top of that, when you deal with like Ron Wills, shout out to Ron Wills, with the acculturated prostitute, that's a form of sex tourism, but tricky. It's interstate sex tourism, if you want to be real about it. Because when you go out and try to holler at a woman with the explicit intent of getting boxed, is that not tricking or form of tourism where you flying women in and out? Yes or no?
I agree. That's exactly what it is. Fonnie Willis is Black America's biggest trick by a wide margin.
Exactly. When you flying women out, getting flued out, you're doing what I call the interstate compact, Obsidian.
Yep.
It's an interstate compact. If you say, well, if you come to my hometown and flew me out, I'm going to give you some of this box. So how is it any different than if a man go to an area where when a woman giving her body away, it's not illegal? If you decide to go to Brazil or Colombia, there might be women Obsidian coming up to you trying to holler at you. But you didn't go with the intent of trying to be with a woman because you got a woman. So how's that tourism? But when you go explicitly with the intent to go to Gambia or Jamaica to get laid, one is aggressive, one is passive. But do you see the dichotomy of thought in that situation?
I do. And again, this is the contradictions, walking contradictions of these people. And Kimberly Nicole Foster is just indicative of that.
Yes, sir, I agree. Shout out to my man Dre with Love Crossing Borders for the $40,000 peso. He said, good interview, gentlemen. Shout out to Dre, always showing love. I love that brother.
Andre, looking forward to seeing you at the Conclave in Houston.
Yeah, man, looking forward to seeing him too. Definitely thinking about trying to get out to.
The preacher's had the dim. You've been here long enough. You've been down in Babylon long enough.
And we're trying to get black men out of Babylon, Obsidian. We're trying to get them to higher ground. We're trying to get them to awaken, to see and understand that they got better options outside of the confines of America. Why is that such a problem, in your opinion?
Well, it's a problem because, the hit dog hollers. We got black women actively following brothers now who are, passport bros. They go ahead and roll out, and the women are right behind them trying to pose as, locals and whatnot. So, I thought that they were dusty, musty, crusty, didn't want them. Nobody don't want them. They weird. They this, that. Right. And here they are catching flights, following right behind them. What's that all about?
Right. I totally agree. Hold tight.
Ignore it. This really is a public health crisis because they don't just talk amongst themselves. Stalk, harassed, degraded, girls get killed.
That is so dangerous. And I heard you say last night when you was on TSN, you was on somebody's show, and you said, I heard you say something about her boyfriend was I heard you say something about her boyfriend was watching you. Is that true?
Absolutely true. You can check in with the Green Gorilla, and there may be brothers right here watching that saw it. Yeah, I mean, you talk about the pot calling the kettle black. I don't follow this guy around, but he certainly follows me around. What does that mean? But the bird, and then she got mad because I just simply reminded her that birds of a feather flock together, and they're two funny looking people that got together, and they're kind of weird, and they're together in their weirdness and funny lookingness. So there you go.
Okay, we don't get into a whole time.
That's an emergency.
Nigga, after that wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
It's not so much an identity, a collective of people who have decided that they are going to flee the United States and find wives. It's more an ideology. And that's where it becomes concerning because the men are flocking to this ideology and the connection is not a genuine desire for love and companionship. The connection is disdain, distaste, malice toward American black women. I was just reading about how effectively the Manosphere generally and passport bros in particular are able to utilize memes. They speak to each other in memes, written memes and visual memes. We see them over and over and over again, and people are internalizing these ideas and not necessarily connecting these ideas to #passport bros, but connecting these ideas explicitly to how loud, ratchet, ghetto, masculine black women are.
But listen, needs drive behavior. We saw Fannie Willis personify the same thing that this woman don't want people to talk about.
Exactly.
Talk to me, Obsidian. Talk to me, sir.
Exactly. So I mean, who are you supposed to believe, me or your lying eyes? I mean, come on, man.
I mean,
black
right.
female fuckery is something that nobody can deny at this point. And I find it interesting that Kimberly Nicole Foster, who is a graduate of Harvard University and who was a student of disgraced President Claudine Gay, would rather go after us than deal with her sisters, whose fuckery is now just a matter of public record. I just find that interesting.
And listen to what this black sister say, this therapist that happens to be a woman. Look at what she said about her occurrences. Now listen, before we play this, we know it's not all sisters. But listen, Obsidian, if it's more than 50%, then that's the norm. Would you not agree with that?
I would.
If it's more than 50%. So listen to this. Watch this.
Black woman therapist tired of black women's attitudes.
Men, are you dealing with issues like this? Book a session.
And he told me that women don't apologize and women can't be held accountable. And I began to really think deeply about this idea. And one of the things that came across my mind is, in the last 9 months or so of me being in my private practice, I have myself experienced many women, whether they came in as a couple or they came by themselves, they very abruptly discontinued their therapy. And I started to reflect and really think, what was going on here? And I noticed that after I had to confront them about something, I had to bring to their attention something they were doing that wasn't contributing to the health of the relationship.
What do you think when you hear that, Obsidian? Is that not what we're saying as men? When you hear these goofballs saying that's all they do is talk about women, but you and I and others see the same behaviors. In my private practice, I see the same thing. So based on that logic, I'll guess that this woman hates black women too, and her mom is black. What do you say about that?
That's exactly where you have to go with it. You have to conclude that she too hates black women, and that's exactly what Kimberly Nicole Foster and her ilk will do. They will turn on them and try to destroy. That needs to be careful because Kimberly Nicole Foster could try to destroy her career as well. She got to be careful.
Yeah, man. You know, Teddy Pendergrass said you can't hide from yourself. You can't hide from yourself, and he was right about that. He said, "Everywhere you go, there you are." So how can you change bad behavior, Obsidian, if you're not willing to look within yourself? If you're not willing to self-reflect, if you're not willing to acknowledge the things that are rendering you hopeless from your past. What would you say about that?
I would say that this is, again, just shows you how these ladies, cannot deal with being, introspective or reflective, and everything is put outward. And it's never considered, maybe the problem is you. Maybe the problem is you. So I see her as, eventually imploding. That's what I think. I think that she's going to implode just like Claudine Gay imploded, just like Sherry Ann Charleston imploded, just like Fonnie Willis imploded, just like Marilyn Mosby imploded. Kimberly Nicole Foster is going to implode too. Cynthia G imploded. So she's Kimberly Nicole Foster is going to implode too. It's a matter of when, not if.
Right. I totally agree. Hold tight. Shout out to Gregor Scholar for the 5. He said, but American black women are mean, masculine, disrespectful, and low class. Let's just admit that. Would you agree with that in part? More than 50%.
I would. And I think that Fonnie Willis is an example of that. I would.
Yeah. Fonnie is real nasty. And I'm going to show you a clip of that at some point. But let's finish listening to this. Hold tight.
And that stuff extends beyond interpersonal relationships.
She lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
What bros are just predators.
I'm not a predator if I sleep with women in America. But if I sleep with women outside of America, I'm a predator. Got you. Guess that means you stop sleeping with people in different states, too, right? You live in Florida. Don't sleep with somebody in Chicago. You're a predator. Logic. The obesity rate in a different country is not as high as America. Stay here and sleep with all the mammoths. Got it? Women in other countries are nice and they look good. Stay here. Deal with somebody who's nice but don't look good. Or deal with somebody who looks good and wants to rob you passively. Nice. I don't think she used logic. I don't think logic matters to her. She's not.
And this young brother is right. They don't use logic, Obsidian. They don't use precise logic. Everything is through the lens of subjective reasoning instead of objective reasoning. What would you say about that?
I would say he's spot on. And there's just yet more examples of the fact that the black manosphere has gone mainstream.
Yes.
That video that you played with that brother right there.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's definitely going mainstream. And, the problem is they don't want the spotlight to shine on them, because if you shine the light on darkness, it shows their insecurities, it shows their malfeasance, it shows their negative affect, it shows their ignorance, and it shows their lack of maturity. So instead of them walking into the light, Obsidian, and embracing the light to heal, they would rather stay in darkness. Dr. King said something about darkness and light. I forgot what it was, but he said something about that light can't do something to darkness. What did Dr. King say about that quote? I forgot what it was.
I can't remember it right off the top of my head either right now, but I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember it right now.
Okay, all right, let me finish playing some of this. Hold tight.
Not happy at all. She keeps on forgetting to use her Planet Fitness membership.
Shout out to my man Byron Hammer TV for the 5. He said salute to Kosha and Mamiya Obsidian Ali. Great interview. It's important to repel the lies from these sad, black, bitter feminists. And I agree with you 100%. I agree 100%. Shout out to that brother.
Be the same ones who calling me nigga. After that, wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
High commodity nowadays, so let's just go ahead and get straight into it. This is another case of black women not minding their business. Y'all didn't care about meal order bras until black men happened to make it popular, but of course you feel entitled to being a BBC commander when something no longer benefits you, although these are the same men that you said you didn't want, didn't need, and they are broke. I'm gonna be honest, going overseas to travel frequently and live does not equate to broke. But then again, this just simply speaks to the delusion and hypocrisy of women. These men have been very clear in their message. They've said time and time again they want a wife, someone they can build with, start their family with, someone they can create a legacy with. What y'all heard was they wanted someone that they can control. Y'all minimize being a wife simply down to being a slave, even so much as telling those other women overseas that they're uneducated in practicing sex tourism. And in turn, a lot of y'all have took your degree and traded it in for an OnlyFans profile. Nobody said anything when women were going to Dubai. We know why you were going. Nobody said anything when women were flying state to state getting flued out. We know what you were doing. Nobody said anything when I...
And I'm saying that's what we've been talking about. They're the biggest tricks, many of them. Some are going to countries with the explicit intentions to tourism or tour young men for the sake, for the sake of sex.
Right.
Yeah, it was too loud. I apologize.
No problem.
But what do you say about that?
I think that Miss Paradise Paris, I've had her on my show numerous times, and she's spot on. And she shows. I would say that any black woman like a Miss Paradise Paris, you all need to be real careful, because women like Kimberly Nicole Foster will try to destroy you if she finds out that you will disagree with her. She will try to destroy your life.
You think she would try to destroy this woman?
I know it. I know she would try to do it. She'll try to do it to any black woman who disagrees with her. She'll try to destroy them.
But that's crazy though, brother.
Indeed, that's why I said every time I see her, I'm reminded of that psycho thing.
That is the true meaning of what I call that's the true meaning of what I call Marxism, or cultural Marxism, when you try to silence people.
Yep.
That is crazy. Shout out once again to my man Salty Balls. Salty Balls showing so much love on the night. Him and RBN are the #1 sponsor. He said, check that Cash App, old man. Can we get loud speak or God is great?
Yes, I can. As a matter of fact, I'm checking my Cash App right now. If anybody up there wants to hit the Cash App $ Obsidian Radio, my man Salty Balls came through with a $100 super chat. Oh no, excuse me, $100 Cash App.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar!
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much for that, Salty Balls and Machismo TV.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. That brother's always showing love, man. Always leading with his wallet. Him and RBN and Gregory Scotland and Quiet Storm and so many others, Top Gun and Sean Kim, always showing love. So many other brothers always showing love. And when I'm in the process of making some big money soon too, and I'm gonna start doing the same thing. We gotta support black male media. It's paramount. But here's the bastion of a black female effery Obsidian. Here's the bastion of black female effery, and it's their girl. I call her Fanny. Some say Fanny, but Fanny Willis.
As you know, Mr. Wade is a Southern gentleman. Me, not so much.
Men, are you dealing with issues like this? Book a session.
Well, how did you know to come into the courtroom right then? There were people I was pacing in my office. Okay. And I heard someone yell, his testimony is done. It only made sense to me that I would be your next witness. And I've been very anxious to have this conversation with you today. Okay. So I ran to the courtroom.
So as soon as you heard that Mr. Wade was done testifying, that's when you just assumed you would be the next witness?
It only makes sense.
Did you listen to any of the testimony?
I've been in my office pacing, ma'am.
Okay. Did you listen to any of the arguments?
I did hear the arguments this morning. It's ridiculous to me that you lied on Monday, and yet here we still are. And I did listen to that argument.
All right, so that was it, just the argument, no testimony.
Right, I listened to the argument this morning.
Yeah, Fanny's one of them strong.
Yeah, there it is right there, y'all.
She one of them strong black women that say she don't need a man. The guy she was laying down with said, she said that she didn't want him to pay her bills or do anything for her. She got it.
Exactly.
And it's crazy, but you know what? If we had an apocalypse, Obsidian, What do you think some of these strong, independent women will be saying? The ones that are strong and independent now.
I think they'll change their tune in a heartbeat. That's what I think.
She's crazy. But hold tight, let me finish playing the song.
Nigerian and Jamaican men needed green cards, and y'all started falsifying marriage documents so you could drive your Range Rover with your red bottoms. Let's just call a spade a spade. Y'all wanted the option to go back to these men after the man that you really wanted was done dragging you through the mud.
All right, here's a question. Kim, what's going on with you and the Manosphere? Girl, nothing. All I do is say true things like getting a man is not an accomplishment. Being a pick-me won't get you picked. Being successful in dating is not about being the most beautiful. And they get mad. They get outraged.
You're 60. How shame.
Ageism. But let's go back to what she said, Obsidian, about the Manosphere. About those comments she made. What do you say about that, Obsidian?
No, really nothing, because nobody made those claims. I certainly didn't. I didn't make any of those claims. But I will say this: I would love to hear what her boyfriend has to say about what she said about getting a man is no accomplishment. I would like to hear what he says about that.
That's a good point. Good point. That's an excellent point. But he might be a male feminist. I don't know the young man, but he might be a male feminist. So he might not see an issue with it.
Oh yeah, he's got a battery in his back as the day is long, no doubt about it.
Hold tight, man. Hold on.
They get mad. They get outraged.
You're 60. How shameless can you be? And I have to say that this whole
Nigga, after that wanna say I'm his brother. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers. Yeah, she lie on them brothers.
Always trying to hug on the kid. And I said, get on. This is the fact. But I'm ugly. Big bird. I got big knees. What do you say? I got big knees.
And this is another one. I'm not going to talk too much about this woman, as I said, but she made a statement, which I found very inflammatory. And I'm not going to talk too much about her because, as I said before in the past, I've never had issue with this woman. But when you start making, crazy lies saying I'm trying to holler at you and I was trying to push up on you and because you rejected me and you told me to get on, I'm mad. That's weird, man.
Well,
I found that weird, Obsidian. I've been with my one for 28 years.
Yeah.
But I found that weird when you just, this woman did live streams, brother, 2 o'clock in the morning, over a video that I did 6 months ago when I asked about her credentials because she kept asking what mine were. Once again, I don't have nothing against this woman. I never did. When I met her, I thought she was cool. I mean, I gave her a hug like I gave Anton hugs. I gave his wife Rita a hug. I gave Kayla a hug. I gave some of the brothers hugs. I gave everybody hugs. But just to make stuff out of the damn air, man, that's weird, man. That's weird to me, brother. But go ahead.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to speak on that because that is weird. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, sir. We'll leave it at that. All right, hold tight.
We got brothers who are coming in from Asia, from the tip of South Africa, all the way over to Australia. I've never seen a space where brothers are coming in from as far as they are and participating in everything from discussion to debate on where black men should go, what black men should do. So first and foremost, I want to be clear that that's my view of the Black Manosphere as a fairly uncontrolled space and the potential of that. We didn't have that 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. We didn't have an easily accessible space where something as simple as a smartphone is your entrance. That wasn't available to black men at any other point in time. Yeah. So that being said, my reason for really wanting to have this discussion and hear from you directly about what you've been experiencing is because of the implication it has for all black men who want to engage in this free space to actually be able to commune and dialogue with one another. Because really what we're talking about, in my humble assessment, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is free speech versus cancel culture on one level.
Right.
The targeting of particular content creators who some people don't like what they have to say.
Right.
What do you think about that? You were in unison with Dr. T.S.I. Johnson.
I agree wholeheartedly. He framed it correctly. This is about free speech. This is about silencing black men. Kimberly Nicole Foster seems to delight in wanting to silence black men. And here's the problem. It doesn't work. She keeps trying to do it and it doesn't work. Instead, Kimberly, just beat our arguments. Debate us. She'll never do it because she's a coward, just like all the modern black feminists are. They're cowards. Notice how when Kevin was alive, they had nothing to say. The day he died, here they come out the woodwork.
Right. And I think what it is, I think at a subconscious level, they know what we're saying is true. And I think you said it before in the past, they've never heard black men speak so rawly and freely. This is a kosher barbershop where men are speaking rawly and freely. But simps keep women in a state of suspended animation. Men like Derek Jackson, men like, I would even say Ace Metaphor to some degree. They keep them in a state of suspended animation, which in essence leads to arrested development. What would you say about that?
Sadly, but it's true. And again, I like Ace. I mean, I like him. We have each other on speed dial. Would like to call him a friend. So I have nothing personal against him, but he knows that he cannot talk about what we talk about and still, excuse me, have a business. And I think that's kind of sad.
But would you not agree that it's dangerous to assail black women and not tell them the truth? How can you say?
I think it is dangerous.
Right.
I think that it's not dangerous in a male kind of way. Dangerous in a male kind of way typically involves violence. It's not dangerous in that way, but the cumulative effect over time kind of sneaks up on you, and we wind up with this type of stuff that we see with Kimberly Nicole Foster and other modern black feminists. We see stuff like that, and I think this is what I think. I think the black manosphere is going to be what turns all this around. It's not going to happen any other way. And
what do you mean by that?
I think that it's the black manosphere that's going to be the ones that really have the real conversations on a real talk level. I think it's the black manosphere is going to be pushing the envelope in terms of the ideas and the arguments. And I think it's going to be the black manosphere that's going to be leading the charge and just busting up all of this delusion, because nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah. We gotta do it. We gotta do it for the sake of these young men, because we gotta do it for the sake of these young men, man, because these young men gotta hear the voices of other men. Let the older men teach the younger men. Shout out to Jamara81. He said, great show. Support black male media, black manosphere, men advocacy, men voices, and men rights and agency. And that's what it's all about. It's about male agency. Dr. Ron Neal came up with the word black male agency. I paired it to the concept called the right to self-determination. That's been parroted often in literature, and often it's in the code of ethics for clinical therapists. It's called the right to self-determination. We talk about that in the clinical model, but we can also see it as a right to self-determination as it comes down to male advocacy, to live their lives on their own terms, free of shame, free of distress, free of harm, free of distress. What would you say about that?
I 100% wholeheartedly agree with that. It's an idea whose time is long overdue.
Right, I agree. I'm gonna finish playing some more of this real quick. I want you to go over your article. I know you got to go. You've been talking a lot, so let me show you.
Yeah, I got to get ready to get up out of here. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, all right, hold tight.
Critical that we pay attention to that, because we really haven't enjoyed the kind of opportunity to speak our minds in public this way historically.
Yeah.
And then lastly, that, and this is something you actually said when we were dialoguing about, preparing for this show. You talked about the importance of black men, and I'm using my verbiage here, mobilizing for themselves.
Right.
Especially in response to people who decide which black men we should listen to and which ones we shouldn't.
Yeah.
And who should not be part of the public discussion and who should.
Right.
I don't think anybody should be able to dictate that but black men themselves.
Indeed.
So 3 reasons, but I wanted you to kind of talk to us about your experience in light of this campaign that I think is pretty intense to silence and control and monitor black men speaking aloud.
Yeah. Well, I'm not new to this. This happened back in 2016. We have to be honest about something here. We have to call it for what it is. A lot of black women can't handle brothers speaking in their own voice, speaking their own truth. See what I did there? A lot of black women just cannot handle it. Over on Clubhouse, I hang out on Clubhouse a lot, and a lot of the ladies there clearly are upset that there are black, and one of them is Kimberly Nicole Foster. And you don't see her much over there.
All right, real quick, Obsidian, I know you got to go. You wrote this article, and I don't want you don't have to elaborate because I want to be respectful of your time. But this article, Obsidian, was your response to this woman, this young lady. Briefly in this article, I know you got to go, but briefly in this article, what were the basic talking points in this article that you felt had to be addressed based on the character assassination or the image of black men in these spaces?
Yeah, that article right there was me responding to the idea that the black manosphere is some kind of public health crisis, and I just ran down the facts. The black manosphere isn't responsible for black women having a syphilis outbreak in Houston, Texas. The black manosphere isn't responsible for the exorbitant murder rate and homicide rate in the black precincts of Black America. The black manosphere isn't responsible for black women being the least partner women in the country. The black manosphere isn't responsible for black women having the most undiagnosed instances of attention deficit disorder. The black manosphere isn't responsible for black women, for those who do have diagnoses, using antidepressants and other mental health medications at an exorbitant rate. The black manosphere isn't responsible for black women's obesity issues. The black manosphere isn't responsible for black women increasing their alcohol consumption. I mean, the list just goes on and on.
Right.
The idea of public health crisis is how, where. Once again, we see Kimberly Nicole Foster's own mental health issues rear its ugly head, and that's the reason why I said every time I think of her, I think of the psycho thing. So there you go.
Well, listen, shout out to my man, Counselor G, for the $50 spot. Man, the brother's been showing a lot of love on tonight. Obsidian, thank you for coming through. He said, even if brothers pour our phone conversation, Coach, I will come up on the panel. I just finished with some clients. He's a therapist like myself. By the way, they should know not to keep the pigeon underwater. He will float to the top.
I like that. Shout out to Counselor Mr. G. That's a really good place to end on.
Yes, sir. Before I let you go, brother, what did you get from this conversation? I'm gonna continue on after you, and thank you for your being so generous with your time. But what did you get from this conversation, and also protecting the black male image? Real quick.
What I get out of it is that it's important that black men support their own media. They want to silence us, brothers. Don't let that happen. Circle the wagons. Continue to support black male media. That means supporting it with your dollars. First and foremost, supporting it with your likes, your shares, your engagement. Spread the word. You can catch me over on Rumble first thing tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. We're going to be talking about what else? Big Mama Fanny. I'll see you all over on Rumble. And until next time, y'all, peace. We are gone.
No doubt. I appreciate it, brother. Be well.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. That was Mumia Obsidian Ali, one of the founding fathers of the Manosphere 2.0. And once again, shout out to Council Mr. G. Guys, we're going to continue the conversation. But if you want to come through, guys, you got to cam up. And we're going to talk about what the black manosphere means to you and how it has more or less impacted you in a healthy way as it relates to your mental health. Council Mr. G is going to come through. And guys, if you want to come through and talk about what the black manosphere mean to you, feel free to come through, guys. The link has been dropped. If you come through, you must cam up. And Mr. G, in the words of my man, Big Bass, we're going to keep it 7.
I am the one that take 2 just to make it. 3 if you hating, 4 your replacement. 5 I'm the best to survive in the matrix. 6 and you out, rest in peace to your baby. I am the one that take 2 just to make it. 3 if you hating, 4 your replacement. 5 I'm the best to survive in the matrix. 6 and you out, rest in peace to your baby. 7 if it ain't kosher, ain't 7. Hell is your home, but you looking for heaven. 7 if it ain't kosher, ain't 7. Hell is your home, but you looking for heaven. 7 if it ain't kosher, ain't 7. Hell is your home, but you looking for heaven. 7 if it ain't kosher, ain't 7. Hell is your home, but you looking for heaven. If it ain't kosher, ain't 7, 7, 7, 7. If it ain't kosher, ain't 7, 7, 7, 7. If it ain't kosher, ain't 7, 7, 7, 7. If it ain't kosher, ain't 7.
Guys, do me a favor. If you want to come through, the link has been dropped. Hit the like button, share the stream. Donate to the channel. If you have not donated, if you don't have any money, just share the stream. And guys, the link has been dropped. But do me a favor, guys, hit the like button and help the channel grow, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
hit that like button. Go ahead, do it now before I reach out into that screen and twist your hand like Aunt Esther. Hit the like button. Thank you.
Destroy. Guys, Council Mr. G is going to come through in a minute. But in the meantime, guys, the link has been dropped. We're going to have this intermission real quick before Council Mr. G come through. If you guys want to pop in and have a conversation about how the Manosphere has been beneficial to you, feel free to come through, guys.
Now, what does that actually mean? What that means is I represent that cold shoulder that you're going to begin to feel from black men. And we see you for who you are, black woman. We see you for the hate-filled individuals that you become because of your selfishness and your waywardness and your falling away from morality and what the Most High God wants for you. But let me tell you the difference between you and that white woman. That white woman stood by her man. Through 500 years of blood and guts, she stood by her man. And whether she liked it or not, she was right on board with him dominating this world. The Asian woman has been oppressed. The Asian man has been oppressed by 500 years of white male domination. So has the Native American and the Indian in India and the African and the Arab man, everybody. It's the white man's time to rule. Everybody gets a chance. Black people had 80,000 years and you sat next to the black man when he ruled. For the past 500 years, the white man is ruling. Guess what you do? Instead of being good companions and getting in line and waiting your turn again, you want to crap all over the black man, even the ones that mean you well. So ladies, you're being replaced. And here's the thing, I'm not going to be nice to you about it. See, I'm not like Kevin Samuels. He tried to do right by you. He tried to teach you, but I've realized you're going to hate me anyway. So what I'm going to do is give you a reason to hate me. So when I'm called home to my ancestors, all that you say will be justified. And I'm okay with that. I am the blizzard.
Are you a victim of brokenness and despair? A broken man is a hopeless man, and a hopeless man is a very dangerous man. Many times, many of you young men that are listening come from homes that are very toxic and very dysfunctional. And because of that, many of you have deferred your power in many ways to the point it's led over into your social life, and many times led over into your relationships. If you guys are dealing with mental health pathologies, conscious and unconscious, come see me at kosherclinician@gmail.com. That's kosherclinician@gmail.com. It's important that you deal with your mental health in order to be a better person for yourself, your loved ones, and also your community. But because mental health is often stigmatized, many of you often suffer in silence. Don't be a victim in silence. And see me once again at kosherclinician@gmail.com. And I need you guys to remember this. If it ain't 7, it ain't kosher. If it ain't kosher, it ain't right. There are 7 steps that a man must go through in order to become an optimized male. And male mental health is one of those elements that's paramount to the functioning of a man. Be well.
All right, Dr. Thunder, my man, Counselor Mr. G, guys. How are you brothers doing on tonight? How you guys doing?
Hey, salute, bro.
No doubt, no doubt.
You doing all right? I'm doing all right.
A pleasure to have you in the house, Dr. Thunder. What are you guys getting from this conversation, man? What are you guys getting from this conversation about the desecration of the black male image and why it's so important for us as black men to speak out loudly, boldly, and proud?
Well, first of all, I'm getting some feedback. Hold on one moment. Let me check something. Hey, Coach, drop me down real quick because I'm getting a lot of feedback.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Doc.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm getting feedback also, and I'm in headphones.
You're getting feedback from me?
Yeah, I think I'm getting feedback from you, and I'm in headphones.
So when you say feedback, what do you mean? You mean static?
No. I mean, I talk, and then I'm hearing myself talk.
All right. Hold tight. Let me see something. All right. How about now?
Check. No, I can still hear myself.
Yeah, I don't know what it is then, because I got everything turned down.
I wonder if you have a speaker. I wonder if you have a speaker on that you're not aware of in the room.
Okay, let me bring Councilman Mr. G back up. I don't know. Let me see.
Check. Yeah, I can still hear myself. Yeah.
You can still
but
hear yourself?
it's okay. It's doable.
Okay, go ahead, bro.
So yeah, I had Mumia on my channel. I guess it's about a couple of weeks ago now.
Yes, sir.
It seems like it started off this sort of round of interviews and things, and I've caught a bunch of the interviews. I caught the one with Tia San. I caught part of the one with Green Gorilla. I caught most of this one tonight, and the cancel culture thing is really dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Anyone that will advocate for Me Too, believe all women, or using the system, weaponizing the system against individuals that have different opinions than them, that's a proxy of white supremacy.
Yes, sir.
It's a proxy of white supremacy because we know what the original Me Too was.
Mm-hmm.
And that was brothers strung up in trees.
Yes, sir.
And all it took was just some white woman tears and a point towards a dusty ninja, and then that was it. You was up in the tree. And society back in those days, they made an event of it where they celebrated you swinging from the tree, and they left you up there.
Mm-hmm.
And our society has been completely and totally numbed to horrific images of black men, our carcasses in the middle of the street, mutilated bodies. We're totally not just numb to it. We actually have a dark fascination.
Right.
We're actually attracted to it.
Mm-hmm.
We can't look away. That's why these news organizations will do these 24-hour news cycles where they keep releasing new footage. Now we can see how, he knocked him over the head from the other angle, and then that one gets another 24, 48 hours and whatnot. And all of that stuff is artifacting from punishment from the slave master, right? So if you got caught running away, they mutilate your body,
right,
and then leave your carcass on the porch
mm-hmm.
for few days to make sure folks know that other slaves knew that this is not a good idea, and to know who's boss. This, I think, modern day. This is a modern day version of that.
Right.
All of this stuff that we see on television, celebrating the mutilated bodies of black men. And so anyone that would celebrate using a mechanism that has been so devastating as it has been weaponized against black men and boys in particular.
Yes, sir.
That is clearly an agent of white supremacy.
Yes, sir.
It's clearly an agent of white supremacy.
Right.
And what is maddening about this whole thing is these black feminists know better. But what I've noted is that they're so power hungry, and they're so afraid of losing whatever little power that they think that they've achieved.
Right.
With their divestment wigs.
Mm-hmm.
They're so...
You said divestment wigs.
Yeah. They are so afraid of losing what little power that they've achieved in the academy, in HR, in different places in society. And they're so hungry to be able to talk about how they're lapping dusty ninjas in a single bound, right? they are so happy to be able to do that, that they don't care what the cost it is, even to their own sons,
Right, right,
even
right,
to
right.
their own brothers,
Mm-hmm.
even to their
Mm-hmm.
own fathers,
Right,
their
right, right,
cousins,
right,
you know,
right,
and other loved ones.
right, right, right.
So yeah, that's the sentiment I get. And this is the same. It's the same play over and over and over. It's not going to change. You know, they have one play. Frankly, um, they're not that creative.
Not at all.
Oh.
Not at all. You know, Doc, you know, I've been a victim of false accusations, not necessarily sexual, but you know, this was stupid stuff. Like I wasn't doing my job. You know, I've had black women set me up. A white woman one time did it. And all of it because they were intimidated. You know, they were intimidated by my height because I'm 6'6". And, you know, they were just intimidated for different reasons. And so whether you're dealing with any kind of accusation, whether it's sexual or derelict of duty, I have a problem with that, Dr. Thunder, because what you're doing, how can you say you love the black community when if you take a man away from his income to protect his family, now that family and that woman and their children are suffering? So how can you say you're a pro-black woman when if you assail the character of a black man that's married to a black woman, not only does that man suffer, but the woman and the children suffer too? How is that possible?
It's not. It's not. It's a blind hyper selfishness, which seems to be uh, countering, uh, covering up a deep seated insecurity.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know, it's pathological. It's silliness, because you really do need the men. And if you had any intelligence, at least intelligence that was not uh, tampered, you know, tampered by this sort of insecurity, then you'd know that the strategy of the white supremacist is first to bind the strong man.
Mm-hmm.
You what you do if you want to stay in control of a society is you eliminate the men, and then you take the women as concubines, and then they are used to indoctrinate their own children.
Right. And you know what? That's true. Real quick, now, Council G, Mr. G speak, but that's true based on this sentiment. Watch this.
When men fail to lead, the children rebel and the women take over.
Would you agree with that sentiment, Dr. Thunder? When men fail to lead, the children rebel. When men fail to lead, the children rebel and the women take over. Is that not modern America in your worldview?
100%. Mm-hmm. And I'll just say this last thing, and then I'll drop down and make space.
Okay.
You know, after my interview with Mumia, he was on my Friday morning panel show, the 8:30 a.m. show, and Monday to Friday, but the Friday one is an open panel. So after we exchanged words, then I opened the panel. And you know what that means is anybody can come up. I'm not confrontational. I'm not trying to control the conversation.
Right.
It's none of that. And I have a interview series called Conversations with Dr. Thunder, where 212 episodes of evidence that I am not confrontational. That's not my way. I have people with all kinds of different perspectives from all kinds of different disciplines. The reason I started that interview series, where I interviewed Mumia twice, by the way, the reason that I did that was because I saw that in the academy, there was not the sort of openness to actually have conversations with people that have different opinions.
Right.
And that you needed to stay within the Overton window if you were going to have any sort of conversation or dialogue. And frankly, those conversations are not particularly interesting because it's a bunch of folks that, though they may look different, they're saying the same thing. They're saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, after I interviewed or I had Mumia on Rolling Thunder, later that day, Kim put some comments on my channel. You know, we went back and forth a bit. I was nothing but kind.
Yes, I saw that. I saw
She
it.
was. She started with a low blow.
Right.
I stayed kind and respectful, as I am. People know I'm not cussing people out. I'm not.
Right.
That's not the kind of person that I am.
Yes, sir.
I may do that. I may err in that. Actually, I may actually do that to a fault.
Right.
And and she disqualified her coming on my channel to share her her side of the story, simply because someone that had been on her channel, that had been on my channel, had a competing view. So it is enough to disqualify having a conversation with me because I was willing to have a conversation with someone that she disagreed with. So that's just like, it's done. Send the asteroid. What I mean, what else is there?
Right.
I mean, what else is there? That is, and this is someone that graduated from Harvard.
Right.
This is someone that embraces academia,
right,
and the sort of values of academia. And I'll tell you, that's pretty close to my experience.
Yeah. It's like it's a mind cult. It definitely has a lot of cultic tendencies. I went through it when I was in graduate school. Some of it, you got to do what the machines say. And I struggle with it because I'm a dominant man by nature. I don't tap dance for nobody. And I've taken a lot of L's because you're very kind. You're very kind and relaxed and very even keeled, stoic to some degree, which is a good thing. But I try to be that way. But I got a fiery temper, man, and you keep saying certain things after a while, man. They got to get this work, Dr. Dunn. They got to get to work. I don't like to be like that, Dr. Dunn. But after a while, I'm like Rick James busting out. So, but man, listen, you always add clarity. We got to do another show again soon, talking about doctrines of demons. I would love to have the three dads, you and the white gentleman on, man. I can't think of his name. But I like him. I love that show, you guys. So y'all do a good job, man. I love y'all breaking down commentary around theology.
Oh yeah, Tony from God Rules. You're talking about Two Dads React.
Two Dads React. Yeah. I love that show, man. Good show. Yeah. But yeah, man. But I'm so proud of you, man. I'm glad that black men are coming together. I want you to stay up before you drop off, Mr. G. How would you like to add to the conversation? You got any questions for Dr. Dunn before we leave? Go ahead, brother.
No, you know what? I think this might be the first time that we've ever met. So salute to you, bro.
Right.
Likewise, man.
Right.
You know, I'm still getting feedback too.
Okay, well, I'm gonna mute myself.
Okay, yeah, I think that might be it. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
You can hear me, great. Yeah, well, first of all, it's good to be back. It's been a while, right? Maybe over a year or something like that. And shout out to the bros in the chat who's showing love. Glad that you guys remember me and all of that. And shout out to Quiet Storm for dropping the link. You know what? I wish Obsidian could have stuck around because I was gonna ask him some questions, but I think I might have to just set up for him to come through the show as well. Simply because we do have a couple of people ahead of him. I got Black Ram coming over, and you're also gonna come over too, right, Kosher? So we'll work it out. But anyway, with regard to the topic, Kosher, you made a point earlier. You brought out the 5 stages of grief, right? And I think you used it within the context of black men, if I'm not mistaken. I know you muted, but if you can unmute yourself, that was within the context of black men, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Now, I like to use the modified Kubler-Ross model. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Like the it's actually 7 stages, right? The first one through the normal Kubler-Ross model is denial, but through the modified version it's shock, right? So it's the initial paralysis about hearing some bad news, right? And then you go into denial, anger, bargaining, depression, testing, which is another one that's not added, but the testing is seeking realistic solutions. And then there's acceptance. Now, a lot of black men, we're in various stages of that, right? As a collective, I would say we're somewhere in the maybe shock and denial stage, but some of us are way down the chart in acceptance because we have to come to grips with the fact, just like you pointed out earlier, we realized that from an external standpoint we had to deal with the system of white supremacy. You brought out the whole Emmett Till situation. and how that happened. But we had to come to grips with the fact that instead of these external forces being very antithetical to what we want to do, we have our quote own women who are acting as these agents of adversity, to be sure. And we are dealing collectively as a group, as Black men, with this collective stages of grief. And I would surmise that, you know, a lot of us who are in this space, we are at that acceptance stage. I mean, I don't know if you would agree with that. I mean, obviously, you know, it varies, and there may be some guys who are in different stages as well. But just like we are in a collective state, I would say that on the side of the women, there's also a collective state, but I would consider them in a collective state of histrionic personality disorder.
Right. I've seen that. Yes, sir. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what they're dealing with. And if you look at the symptoms of that, you can see it play out almost to the T, right? You know, the various stages, like, you know, how they are attention seeking.
Right.
It always the interactions with someone is always exacerbated or exaggerated into something that it's not.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I talked about that. I talked about that on the show about, you know, having histrionic traits. I didn't diagnose anybody, but I agree with you 100%. Always exaggerating or using sexual allure to get attention from men. But go ahead.
Just like what you guys brought out earlier with the lady that Arsene had his issue with, and how she's using this very extreme language, right, in terms of framing this as a terrorism, or, you know, using that, you know, very inappropriate and extreme comparison. And then, of course, you have a lot of these women. They always are really projecting a lot of the things and the insecurities that they have. They're really putting it on us, just like with this whole thing with the passport bros, and how many men that are going overseas, and I'm being one. I've been living overseas actually for over 10 years. But the thing is, and that's why, you know, we've had this kind of discrepancy with regard to me being able to join the lives, because I'm in a whole different time zone. But
right.
Neither here nor there. But the point is, a lot of us, we're not to be portrayed the way they're portraying us, because just like when they're going down to Jamaica and all these different places, it's explicitly for sex. Whereas within the confines of the passport bros, you have various genres, right? You have guys who are just going to, you know, hook up or what have you.
Right.
And then you have guys who are marriage minded, or guys like me, who are just literally trying to find a better life.
Right.
With everything encompassing that, you know, are the women a part of it? Yes, but that wasn't my primary concern. I didn't have a problem getting women in America. That wasn't it. Obviously, I wanted to be in a place where I had, you know, better options in terms of choice quality, but it wasn't a matter of me not being able to do it. And that's true for a lot of brothers, right? We just, you know, we're successful, or we were able to accomplish certain things. We want to have a lifestyle that's conducive to that. And that's basically what it is. But you have these women demonizing it, degenerating it to a level that is uncharacteristic of what a lot of us are really doing. But when you look on the other side, it is them, when in their exploits, in their travel, which it's more of that carnal nature.
Right. And one of the things I say, and Dr. Dunn, I want you guys to give me your feedback. One of the things I said, guys, is this: if you and Dr. Dunn to travel to Brazil, some of those areas are known for prostitution, and it's legal. So. Right. You can go to that country. That's not tourism. That's not necessarily tourism, because normally SEG tourism is for country when you're going to places where it's illegal. When you're going explicitly to countries where it's illegal to find young men or poor folks to exploit. That's tourism. But like you say, it's straddlers when it comes down to black men. And so my question would be, Counsel Mr. G and Dr. Thunder, that's like, say, if you and I go to Las Vegas, does that mean we're going for tourism, or are we going to gamble? Do you see my point? Las Vegas is known for tourism. Am I right or wrong?
No, that's exactly.
But every person that goes to Las Vegas is not going for tourism. But we do know when they go to Jamaica and when they go to what's the name of the other country? Gambia. They're going with the explicit intent to tour white women and black women, the black women in Jamaica, to get in with those young black boys that are poor. Black men that are traveling, all of those black men are not going there. Are some going there for that? Yeah, but it's still not tourism, in my opinion, because tourism is when you're going to countries where it's illegal to hook up with other folks. What would you guys say about that? And then, guys, what do y'all think about the catastrophization of black men using language to weaponize black men? What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, sure. So, that's just that that's just hogwash. That's not a real. It's not even an argument, because in an argument, all that would be necessary is to say, well, you're saying that there are three options: somebody looking for a wife, somebody just trying to improve their life. Could just be a stress reliever to get out from under this yoke of oppression in this country, right? And then the third reason is tricking. Okay, so see, the thing is it's not really an argument because there's an out, right? So the out could be that people are actually going to find a wife, or to improve their life in some way. See, that there's no trap. You didn't make the point of your argument, because it's too easy to defeat. But that sort of does work when it's all based on emotion, and it's based on like conjecture, and you are all dusty anyway. So since you so dusty, we think that you're going to be doing the worst thing anyway. So we just going to say you all trickster. Right? See, so really it's just name calling. It's not even really an argument. It's just, they just found a clever way. It's actually not really clever, but they just found a way to call us a name. That's really all that is.
What do you find to be the most damaging on this list? Because it's weaponizing language. What do you find to be the most damaging? Then, Council Mr. G, give me your prognostication. Go ahead, Doc.
Let's see here. Well, the incel thing, although that's pretty benign with respect to what that actually is, of course, it gets liberally spread to a bunch of folks that it doesn't belong getting spread to. For instance, I did a show, I think it was last week, where there's a channel called Exoticals United.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you know what an exotical is, but an exotical basically is a mixed woman. It's basically black and white mixed woman.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this community called this sort of golden sphere. I'm going to do some videos on this space because it's a pretty small space, but it's basically the sort of mulatto pathology, like on steroids, where they just basically talking about everybody hates me because they're jealous because I'm prettier than them and I'm better than them, like this. It's basically because their blackness has been softened and cut by European, sort of European beauty standards,
right?
Because they're half white, so then they feel like they can be racist on the black side, and also claim to be black when that suits them. So it's kind of like that. I don't want to go too deep into that, but in my view of this woman, she was talking about how this other woman was jealous of her, and so she would not invite her to a Bible study. And then she, because the girl that was jealous of her wanted to get with the guy that was leading the Bible study, and then she called him an incel dude.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. It's not an incel because you're trying to live holy. That's not an incel.
Right.
The guy that's leading the Bible study shouldn't be in the streets. Okay, so it's just a strategy to try to find something that seems to be demeaning, to to attack us. But so that's one way that's sort of irritating. But the other thing about that that's sort of dangerous is because incels have been put on the sort of FBI watch list, and they are characterizing aspects of the manosphere and people in the manosphere as being incels. Again, rather than making an argument, you basically say, well, they're basically old dusties, or they're incels, or they're deadbeats. Choose one, right? So, it's the same thing. They just found another way to call us names. But that one is actually somewhat dangerous because nowadays characterizing someone as an incel is almost like calling them a mass shooter.
Right. Right. No, I totally agree. Counsel Mr. G, we see a lot of unresolved mental illness. We're not here to diagnose, but when you see some of these behaviors and machinations of some of these women, what's resonating through you, and what DMS 5 vibes are you getting, man?
Hey, I'm gonna have to drop down. I'm gonna have to keep going.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. All right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You be well, man. We'll be in touch.
Right. Yes, sir. Be good, Doc. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I guess you're referring to the DSM-5, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual.
Yeah. When you see some of the vibes of some of these modern women and their behaviors, man, we know some of it is I'm not going to diagnose anybody, but we know a lot of it is definitely have a lot of narcissistic traits. Some could be borderline personality disorder, some could be histrionic, some could be NPD, some could have dependent personality. They're gonna be a bevy of cluster Bs, in my opinion. Right. But when you see this evil, this pernicious nature of some of these women and their desire to silence black men, what's resonating through your mind, man?
Yeah, well, obviously, like you alluded to, this is obviously non-diagnostic, but if you just kind of take a step back, and I think this has been pointed out before, I think that the thing that I would say that kind of summarizes it everything pretty well is just the whole concept of the dark triad.
You're right.
Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy, right? So that is, if I was to just crystallize it, I would say that, as well as what I said earlier in terms of them suffering from collective histrionics.
What do you mean by collective history? I'll break that down.
Well, you know what histrionics is when it manifests within an individual, right? I just think that as a group, a disproportionate amount of Western women, I'm not even just talking about our women in particular, but just women in general. And statistically, they say that of all cases, 2/3 of people diagnosed with histrionic disorder are women. And that's across all racial groups. But I think that, obviously with today's society being what it is, in the wake of second generation or second wave feminism and all of these disproportionate amount of corporate and government giveaways. We could talk about Lyndon Baines Johnson and the Great Society and how that warped the family, and the removal of the man as the center and the rightful place as the authority in the household. That all has created this toxic mix of dysfunction. And what I like to do is just kind of equate women as kind of like water, right? Women are only as good as the environment. As men, we create culture.
Right.
Women maintain the culture.
Right.
Like a vessel, right? But if we compare them to water, if you put it if you put pollution in it, then the water becomes polluted. If you keep water distilled or filtered, then it's going to be clear or what have you, safe to consume. But it's still water, right? And as men, we are charged with harnessing the power of water. We create dams, we create reservoirs. We are the ones. Women are not in a position naturally to cleanse themselves or to make themselves appropriate. That's our job.
Right.
And one of the things, going back to your list of words that you were asking which are the most offensive, interestingly enough, of that chart and the way this word has been inverted and distorted, I would say that the most problematic word on that list is patriarchy. And not, let me break it down.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Because we know patriarchy in its core is the thing that has made human beings get to the point that we're at.
Right.
That is the very thing that provides women with all the protections, all of the things that make them the women that they should be and that they would want to be, but it's been demonized to the point that they think that it's actually a bad thing.
Right.
And that inversion is, to me, very insidious, and that has been created in these modern women's mind an excuse to demonize men in general, because obviously we are the purveyors of patriarchy. But at its core, patriarchy is a very good thing, and it's the structure that we need as human beings to move forward, because under patriarchy, women are not allowed to be whores.
Right. That's true.
Right?
That's true.
It's under matriarchy and under feminism, and these are the ones that give these women this ability to throw their nether reasons in a circle and go out and become community coochie for everybody. That is what has created this horrible situation that we have with the single motherhood, all of that. It's under the auspices of them being matriarchs and all of that. That's where they're getting all these problems from. Meanwhile, they have never even lived under a true patriarchy, a wholesome one. They've lived under a perverted one in the form of what they would consider white mingle and conflate white supremacy with patriarchy, if you noticed, right? As opposed to its purest form, where it is very beneficial and wholesome, and we give them the platform that they need to become the women they should have been in the first place.
Right. Have you ever seen a group of women, Counsel Mr. G, so demented? And what are you seeing in practice, man? They would suggest that American women like self-awareness. But before you say it, this black woman is a therapist, Counsel Mr. G. Let's go back and look at what she said. I'm sure she got slacked by some black women. But I'm going to play what this sister said, and you tell me what you think.
Black woman therapist tired of black women's attitudes.
Men, are you dealing with issues like this? Book a session.
And he told me that women don't apologize and women can't be held accountable. And I began to really think deeply about this idea. And one of the things that came across my mind is, in the last 9 months or so of me being in my private practice, I have myself experienced many women, whether they came in as a couple or they came by themselves, they very abruptly discontinued their therapy. And I started to reflect and really think, what was going on here? And I noticed that after I had to confront them about something, I had to bring to their attention something they were doing that wasn't contributing to the health of the relationship.
What do you think about what that lady said, Counsel Mr. G? What do you think? What do you think about what she said? How does that resonate?
I think it's very interesting that she was in a position to counsel someone else of it. It seems like she got the therapy session herself when she came to the realization that, a lot of women just don't want to be accountable. And I think it's interesting that was an epiphany for her, because she obviously had never considered that. But that's something that we know as men, by nature and by default, we know we have to be accountable, because we don't get the opportunity to escape responsibilities, right? So we understand very early on that we are accountable for what we say and do. And we can juxtapose that to when we're engaging with women, because we've all had those experiences, whether it be with our family members who happen to be women, or just dealing, with, dating or just interacting with women, that there's a disconnect between how they view things in terms of accountability versus us. And another thing I want to point out that I think a lot of people miss is that they have this trope out here that says that women mature faster than men, right?
Right.
And they always frame it as though it's the women maturing faster mentally.
Right.
But that's a misnomer, because
that's a misnomer. I agree with that. Right.
Yeah, they mature faster biologically with regard to the development of the sexual organs and so forth. And that's the reason why they age out at a certain point where they lose their eggs and they can no longer reproduce. Whereas we can, as you mentioned earlier, reproduce well into our 80s. You know, if we
Right.
stay in shape.
Right.
And that's, you know, I think that's a very important distinction to make, because I would surmise that as men, we, whether it be through biology or physiology or psychology, we mature faster mentally and emotionally than women. You don't hear that, but that, I say that that's the truth, because we have to. We, as I mentioned earlier, we have immediate consequences
Right.
in most cases if we don't.
Mhm.
Women, especially in this current society, they don't have that type of responsibility. So whereas they do mature faster in terms of reproduction and in other ways, when it comes to emotions and when it comes to psychology, I believe that a lot of women are stagnant, and there's a lot of arrested development, you know, in terms of how they're behaving. Just like when you look at a lot of these women, when they have daughters and they're always competing with their daughters and so forth and so on. To me, that is something that needs to be dealt with in terms of just understanding that women by nature have to have that guidance, just like a child. I'm not saying women are children.
Right.
I'm
I know what you're
that
saying. Right.
There's a hierarchy, right? Just like children need development and guidance from their parents, women need that guidance in by men. Just like I said earlier, they're chaotic, just like water, and it takes the men to build the dams and the reservoirs to control that spirit.
No, I totally agree with that, man. I agree with that. I also agree. If you think about women from foreign countries, they tend to be more mature. I don't think they're more mature by default. Right. I think that when the infrastructure is set up and it forces them to be mature, they have no other choice. So foreign women tend to mature faster because the infrastructure is a patriarchy, and you have no other choice but to mature fast and respect your women. A lot of these women are going through what's called a state of arrested development. Some of them are still in the stage of their psychosocial development, probably called identity versus role confusion. Some might still be in intimacy versus isolation. These women could be damn near in their 50s, man. They still in intimacy versus isolation. You got so many women in their 50s looking for intimacy. Some they should have got back in their 20s and their 30s. But consistent with what Erickson said, he said you have to compromise and be empathetic. We know the American women, especially black women, don't want to compromise. They don't want to be empathetic either. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I think that's spot on. You know, they definitely have had, through social conditioning, the ability to have that luxury to where, you know, whether we're talking about accountability or whether we're talking about these ridiculous isms like feminism and all these other things, this is a luxury that they've had in the West that other women of other cultures that simply don't have. And that's why it's imperative that a lot of men who, you know, when you go overseas, you know, I always advise, not to bring your women back to the West if you want to keep her the way she is, you know. Because as I mentioned, women are kind of like vessels, and so they're very prone to influences, especially from each other.
Right. I think in general that's true what you're saying. There are exceptions, in my opinion. Those are the godly, spiritual women that are striving to live right. There are some women that will, you know, like maybe from the Philippines, and I think if they're older, like maybe like older women, I think it's more like closer to our age. I think they might be more safer. But you know, when you're dealing with women in their 20s. If they didn't grow up in patriarchal cultures, if they're not women of faith, and I'm not talking about the fake ones, they're striving to live right, then I agree with you 100%. Can you bring them back? It's possible, but it's not always wise of what you're saying, because those patriarchs hold them accountable, and these wicked women are trying to get into their ear, and like you're saying, they're vessels, they're insular, they're very insular by nature, but also very solipsistic. Men and women both can be solipsistic, but they have a higher level of being solipsistic because nothing exists outside of self. And that's what I've always said, Counsel Mr. G. Until a woman can do things for a man when she don't feel like doing it, then it's not love. It ain't love until it costs her something. Would you agree with that?
Exactly. That's definitely true, because inherently there's conditions tied to their affection.
Right.
And to be honest, I mean, let's be clear. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, that's just their nature, right? And I think that once you, just like we go back to that 7 stages of grief, I think guys, whether they call it that red pill rage or whatever, you know, they get to that point, and that's in those stages, that would be the anger stage, right? But once you get down that chart and you're at the acceptance point, you say, well, wait a minute, there's nothing inherently bad about the way women are. It's just when in terms of their intrinsic nature, but they are susceptible to negative influences,
Right.
and that shapes who they are
Right.
outside of the guidance of that patriarchal man or patriarchal society at large. So that, to me, is where we run into this problem. Their nature is what it is. It's just a matter of, just like water is what it is, but it has to be controlled. And I'm not talking in an abusive way, because you use the word like control, and what's
Right.
the first thing that they're gonna conflate it with,
Right.
right? We
Right.
have to be very strategic with our word choices, because we know
Right.
they're gonna twist them, right? But to me, that's a part of the process and the interaction between men and women. And it's been disrupted with all of these, these isms, like I mentioned, feminism and so forth, that it's disrupted that natural order of things.
You said something very paramount about control. And I always tell people, Counselor Mr. G, when I'm in sessions, that control is mutually inclusive. And what I mean by that, there's good control and there's bad control. Two things can be right and wrong at the same time. Good control, you need good control in your family. Men should be able to control their environment. And so good control is righteous control. Good control looks like I'm setting boundaries, setting limits. I'm not allowing your woman to disrespect you. I'm guiding your children. Just like a woman's job is to control certain bad behavior of her children as well. But bad control is locking a woman up in a room, abusing her, taking her money, secluding her from her family. But people don't understand the words can be mutually inclusive. Just like hate, there's good hate and there's bad hate. Ecclesiastics say that there's a time for all things. There's a time for war, there's a time for peace, but there's also a time for hate. But in the leftist lexicon, the word hate is something pejorative. What would you say to that?
Yeah, that's true. They like to play word games. They like to take words that, like you say, are mutually inclusive, and they will frame it in such a way as to, you may mean it one way, but then just because you use that word choice, then they'll kind of paint a narrative. And that, it happens all too often. And that's why, we have this society of council culture and so forth, where you could just say one slight thing or take a certain position, and then all of a sudden you're villainized and ostracized and made a pariah, essentially, when in fact you may have not even had any type of ill will toward what you were saying. It's just it didn't fit a narrative, and because they can kind of play with the words, then we've seen this happen over and over again, specifically to men, and men like ourselves who have more of a dominant patriarchal masculine outlook. So obviously there are people in certain positions who don't like that as a just intrinsically, because they see it as a threat.
Right.
What's the name of your show?
Yeah. Counsel Mr. G, you are a licensed therapist like myself. You're a professional man. I would say this, educate me and tell me what you think. I would say this, Counsel Mr. G, when it comes down to some of the things you see in your work, in your line of work, men being voiceless and men being silenced. Why do you think the manosphere is not only a blessing for those that are in bondage, but a curse for those that don't want to hear the truth? Why is that in your opinion?
Okay. Well, yeah, first let me just clarify. Initially, because I worked in the financial industry for about 20 years.
Yes, sir.
And I was licensed, many certifications. And then as a part and parcel of what I was doing, I was also providing counsel to people there. And then I left the financial industry, kind of did an early retirement, and I went in and I decided to do volunteer work and go into jail, speak to people, and I did get some certifications. I currently live abroad, so I'm not licensed in America.
Okay, gotcha.
I still have certifications and things, but I don't practice that. My businesses and things that I do are kind of outside the scope of that.
Yes,
and
sir.
I got the name counselor because of the work that I did after I left the financial industry, and I was doing going into jails, speaking to people, going to certain programs. So that's kind of, just to be clear.
Oh, okay, so you're not a licensed therapist?
No. I think I mentioned that to you before. I'm not like you're a clinician where you handle with the more psychology aspect.
Right. I apologize.
Yeah, I just want to make that clear because
right.
people are funny about saying, "Oh, well, he ain't this or that." No. Well, first of all,
I apologize.
No, it's not your fault. I just wanted to make that clear.
Right.
But I am qualified to talk about these things because I have done that work in the past.
Gotcha.
And I have, but like I said, because I don't live in the States right now, I'm not licensed in any state.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do diagnostics to people because how I work. These are all non-diagnostics.
Right.
So just to be clear, so because my line of work and my business now are kind of outside that scope right now.
Yes, sir. Got you. Well, let's say in past then, what are some of the current struggles that so many men that you see with men, and how is the manosphere the elixir or the solvent for some of the social ills that so many of these men have? How's the manosphere an outpouring of pouring in light to so many broken men? Because I think it's a necessary evil, in my opinion.
You know, it's kind of like how you framed it before. It's cyber therapy.
Right.
You know, it gives men a way to have that virtual barbershop where men can speak and say what's been, you know, kind of on their heart, and they have not had the opportunity. And it's just, you know, it's very cathartic just to see other men like yourself.
Right.
Because a lot of times, and I think a big thing about therapy is, and the reason why therapists exist is because it gives people a chance to speak to someone and to have that type of human connection and that relatability.
Right.
So on a collective scale, then you have that in these type of forums, and that's very important, especially for people who are going through things. Because
Right.
A lot of times, you know, people suffer in silence, and they're by themselves, and they feel that sense of isolation. And a lot of guys, you know, through just a process of, you know, what they've been dealing with, and it's like filling up that, you know, the blind man filling up that elephant, right? They're all kind of stumbling around. They don't know what they're dealing with, but working together, they can kind of figure it out, right?
Right.
And so I think that is the catharsis of this space, and that's the reason why I contribute to it. I'm not what I would consider, quote, in the manosphere. As I've mentioned before, I feel I'm adjacent to it.
Yes, sir.
I simply, by physically, I don't even live in the States. So some people can answer, when I turn this internet off, my life is totally different. I don't deal with these type of issues. I've decided a long time ago, thank the Most High, I was successful enough. I was able to leave and I had a life outside that I really have enjoyed. But I have a sense of concern for my fellow man, and I know the struggles. And like I said, I took it upon myself once I finished working in the financial industry. I wanted to learn about these type of things, and so I went and studied and went through certain programs and went into jails and dealt with a lot of our people who were struggling, a lot of black men who were dealing with issues, and I learned a lot.
Right.
And so that some of that is still in me. And even when I made that decision to leave the country, I said, you know, I need to kind of still keep my tabs on what's going on, even virtually, just to kind of contribute something, you know. And that's the only reason why I'm still doing it, because I could just shut this off and say, okay, my life is what it is. I don't have to deal with that. But I think that I have a little bit something to contribute, and that's the reason why I still kind of, you know, put my 2 cents in here and there.
Let me ask you this question, and I know you got to go, and I got to get ready for clients in the morning. But and I appreciate you coming doing showing so long. We got to do a formal show. You and I.
Yeah, we planning it, right?
Yeah. We're gonna definitely plan it. But I don't know where you're at. You don't have to say where you're at unless you feel comfortable saying it. But what's the biggest difference you see in women in the foreign country that you're in compared to the times when you were in America? What would you say is the biggest difference?
Okay, yeah, well, there is a specific reason that I don't say where I am, but, you know, there are a collective of guys behind the scenes that I will, you know, share certain information with. But we'll
Understood.
Get into it.
That's fine. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. But one of the main differences that I see is that you don't have to even think about it. And what I mean by that is there's certain things that I didn't realize how much you just don't have to worry about when you're outside of certain environments. I don't worry about safety. I don't worry about it just with regard to interacting with ladies. It's just natural. There's no pretense. There's no game. You don't need any of that stuff. It's just, you know, they like you, you like them, you interact, you're good. They know their role. They respect you as a dominant man, because like I said, I'm, you know, you as a tall man like me,
right.
You know, a lot of women universally they like that, you know, so I get, you know, a lot of women that give me attention because of that reason alone as well.
How tall are you, brother?
You're taller than me. I'm about 6'3".
Okay, yeah, I'm about 6'6".
Yeah, but the point is in how you carry yourself. You know, just as a man, and there's intrinsic respect. And obviously you carry yourself a certain way, then it just gives you more respect.
Right.
And that's been the case because I've been to different countries, not just, you know, where I live, and it's been universal in that regard. You know, I've been to South America, been to Asia, been all over, you know, but the point is there's so much that of a burden that's lifted off of you once you're outside of that matrix, if you will, that we call the West. So I think that it's cathartic for men to travel. I'm a big advocate of it. That's one of the things that I like to contribute to the space is, whenever guys decide they want to reach out to me, because I got a lot of experience with this. I don't want to encroach on guys who are quote official passport bros. But I do have a lot of experience in traveling. I've had a passport almost 30 years. And so, to me, that's one of the things that really sets apart guys mentally once they go and realize that the world is such a bigger place than that little box that they've been in for their life.
Let me ask you this question before I let you go, Cancel Mr. G. And thanks for the love on tonight, man. The guys, y'all came through strong. Mr. G, you came through strong, man. Love and respect. But let me ask you this question, Mr. G. And we'll do a show about this particular woman, but I'm gonna leave it alone for now. But let me ask you a question. When you travel abroad, when you think about the women that are the most feminine, or more or less they inspire you. Teddy Pendergrass said, "You inspire me." What country would you say personify or is the paragon of femininity in your opinion? We know that they're all feminine, but the countries that you traverse to, which one would you say really raise your masculine drive to make you feel like a man and to make you want to run on and like the old folks used to say, see what the end gonna be? Which country would you say?
Well, I got to be honest. I think I got spoiled early because one of the first countries I went to was Brazil, right? So, and this was when I was, in my 30s, early 30s, I believe. And I was just taken aback because I just went down there, obviously because when I'm from the Midwest, because you may know I'm from Chicago. So in the wintertime, it gets very cold, of course. So, I would take my vacations towards the end of the year. And so it would be in the dead of winter. And so I'd be exchanging those with that snow for the white sands, right? And I just realized that these women, and we're not talking about, the pay for play type deal. I mean, even though, if that's what you want to do, hey.
Right. It
is what it is, right? But I was just amazed at how feminine and just very touchy-feely they were. As far as you be out at a club or wherever and you're interacting with these women, they're hugging all up on you, right? And that sense of affection was something that I noticed right away. And I realized that there was something missing in the West where the women are very standoffish and cold and mean mugging and, got this grimace on their face all the time. And the women are so smiley and happy. And like you mentioned, that energy is very invigorating.
It's very invigorating. Yes, sir. Right.
And
very invigorating.
And it don't hurt that they're looking good as well.
Yes, sir. Right. And I like what one brother said earlier. Let's go back. He was talking about the passport bros. I'm gonna bring it up. I want you to break that down. But not only are they nice, but they are feminine. That feminine. People always talk about looks and whatnot. You get a feminine woman, man.
Black.
You get a feminine woman, Mr. G, and it can make your manhood. It can make your manhood nice and hard, man. When that woman is feminine, man, it'll take your manhood to a whole nother level. I'm sorry, go ahead.
You throwing in pictures of me. I know you ain't talking about these women.
Oh, no, man. Hey, actually, I'm about to show you something. Hold on for a minute. I'm about to show you something. I'm going to show you something, Mr. G. Hold on. You're going to laugh at it. But I want, before I show it to you, I want you to listen to what this bird said. And then we're gonna break it down. Hold on.
Just predators. I'm not a predator if I sleep with women in America. But if I sleep with women outside of America, I'm a predator. Got you. Right. Guess that means you stop sleeping with people in different states too, right? You live in Florida. Don't sleep with somebody in Chicago. You're a predator. Logic. The obesity rate in a different country is not as high as America. Stay here and sleep with all the mammoths. Got it? Women in other countries are nice and they look good. Stay here. Deal with somebody who's nice but don't look good. Or deal with somebody who looks good and wants to rob.
You're looking for a traditional African woman?
Hold on. Go ahead.
Nice. I don't think she used logic. I don't think logic matters to her. She's not happy at all. She keeps on forgetting to use her Planet Fitness membership.
Yeah, that bro is right.
So let me show you something, Mr. G, real quick. Let me show you this one. Hold on. Book of session. To the new people that are coming in, Gene, I need you to reiterate. I'm gonna clip this, but reiterate, Gene, about the women from Africa, or the women in African countries that come and cook for their men, in the wee hours of the night.
Either she's gonna fall in line, or she can take her ass on. It's that simple. I'm not gonna argue with you. You can go take your ass on because I'm gonna be fine.
You know Kelly lying. She getting
a little bit of pushback for this
You got some
gentleman.
pushback from Coach Collision. Come on.
Just a little bit. Because although I understand your point, I also think that you as a husband have to be sensitive to your wife. Now, what if you want her to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, but she already has to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning to get ready for work if you have your wife working? Do you mean to tell me you're not going to be sensitive to that fact that it's out? Because at that point it becomes about what you want and you're not considering the wife.
When they come home, they can come home 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. When they come home, and I know their wives will get up and either cook them a meal from scratch or warm up what they made earlier, set the table on the plate on the table, and he will eat and he will get up and he will never touch the plate. Wow. And they will get upset if he was to touch the plate. This is what they expect to do. And when he goes to bed, then they will clean up and they will join him in bed.
You know what, you married, I'm gonna respect that. But there are women that are single, they might not have what you got. Let you pass away, and them same women being in your husband's DM trying to holler. Trust and believe, because women can be damn very trifling. And back to the point about someone saying if your husband asks you, would you cook him a meal in the middle of the night? That proves my point. It costs you something. If your man says, look, babe, I'm hungry, I want some eggs and bacon 3 or 4 o'clock at 3 o'clock in the morning. You say, I'm tired. But my whole point is, if you really love that man, you don't mind getting up in the morning and doing it. Because on the flip end, you're doing that act of service, which might be part of his love language, acts of service. He might say, you know, my baby don't mind doing this for me, so I don't mind getting her the ring that she wants. I don't mind paying for the trip that she want to go to. But my whole point is, women want men to pay the most extraneous things. But something simple as cooking your man a meal in the middle of the night, I'm not doing that.
I'm out of, yeah. Baby, you my only number one guy. Even in my down times, I can't get you out of my mind, sorry. Hey, I done run 1,000 days just to find you in my way. Nothing like you in this world. Promise never let it go. Baby, won't you calm down, wanna know how you feel about you and me. Them they do too much, but you in control. Loving that about you. Me, I want it all, oh. She my baby doll, oh. Body they hot, oh. Leading out follow. Me que la tenga poco le yo. Yo no de pe matento un tío.
So American. So when you see that level of femininity, Counsel Mr. G, them fine sisters from the motherland, make you say, let me run on and see what the end gonna be.
Hey, oh, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because in my travels,
right.
I was going to mention that as well. In my travels, I've had very good experiences with women from the motherland as well.
Mm-hmm.
Women from South Africa.
Yes, South Africa. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. Some from Ghana, Kenya. Yeah, very nice.
Right. Have you been to Northeast Africa, like Ethiopia and the United Arab Emirates?
No, I do plan to go because I hear good stuff. But I've dealt with mostly West African, South African women, very, very feminine. And I was dealing with one, and man, she was so soft, right? It's like that feminine. Because I like very girly girl type.
Girly girls, yes, sir. Right.
You know what I mean? Very feminine. You touch their hands, it's like butter, man.
Right. I think, Counsel Mr. G, people don't understand getting around a feminine woman can raise your vibrations, man. It can actually help you live long. I think you like women like this. Hold tight.
Hey, girl, you gonna eat your cornbread?
Don't say nothing. You talking to me? Yeah, I think you're talking to you.
腰はひねって S 字型。
Yeah, you like women like that.
Man, you scared me for a minute. I'm like, man, what you trying to say, bro?
No.
Part of that clip. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah, I was trying to show the economy.
Oh, okay.
Leslie Jones is a typical American woman. Well, not all sisters, but she's like a lot of black women in America. And and the latter is what makes men feel invigorated. What would you say about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. I prefer melanated women. So even if I deal with like Asian type women, they have to be kind of darker. That's just my preference.
Mm-hmm.
But
same here.
Yeah, that's just my preference. But definitely, even if you deal with the regular, like whether it's Japanese, Korean, they are very feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Now I tend to like the femininity with the the shape. You know what I mean? They gotta have the curves. They gotta have the a lot of women, they're Asian, they're very feminine, but a lot of them are very kind of slim. I like slim women, but they got to be kind of slim thick.
Right, slim thick, right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where they got some type of shape to them. For me, to really
right. I agree. Yeah, you can't deal with the ones like SpongeBob.
Yeah, you gotta have a little something.
Yeah, you talking about like Melanesian women, like from Malaysia or like the dark Thai women, the ones that are dark.
Yeah,
I'm like you.
South Pacific,
right,
type women
right.
I really like that.
Right. I don't like very pale women. I like melanated women. I think melanated women, whether they're brown, tan, I think they're gorgeous. Now, in my younger years, I used to like light-skinned women, but as I got older, I think like dark chocolate women, brown to light brown or whatever. I mean, I like all ranges, but like some guys like those pale white women. I think that's very unattractive to me. They look dead. And so
I get it. It's just about preference. It's about preference.
Right. It's about preference. Yeah. Right.
I think a lot of guys, because me, it's kind of like a range. I can deal with lighter skinned women, but obviously when they are more on the brown to darker side, then that's a little bit more attractive to me.
Right. I totally agree.
But it depends. I'm not gonna rule her out if she got what I like.
Right. Before I let you go, we're gonna end it because I got to get ready. I know you got to go. And thank you, man, for showing so much love on tonight. Like I said, man, we got to do a formal show. I'm gonna come on your channel. We're gonna come back. I might even bring Black Ram and all us do 3-1 together. But we're gonna do a one, and we're gonna make it real spicy. And we're gonna talk about the 7 steps to finding a good woman in modern times. That'll probably be the title of it. The 7 steps to finding a good woman in modern times. But when you left America, Counselor Mr. G. When you got outside this toxic maze called America, what are some of the noticeable things that happened with you, with your health, your masculinity and all? Did you notice a difference in your affect, how you felt, your testosterone levels? What was the biggest thing you noticed once you got out of America?
That's a very good question. But you know what? How I gauge it? I gauge it by how other people view me, because a lot of people don't realize my age. Everybody still thinks I'm in my 30s. So I think that speaks volumes. I think I knocked maybe over 10 years off my life just by moving when I did. I don't have a lot of gray hair. You see me in the picture. That's my actual beard.
You look good, man. You look good. How old are you again? How old are you, 52?
No, I'm 51.
Yeah, you look good, brother. Look very good.
But the point is, my beard, I got a little gray in it, but I don't use dye.
Right.
Like you, bro, you there in the Matrix. You got to deal with that stuff, and you got to. You ain't much older than me, but people might think we way different in age. But the point is, it just depends, man. I ride my bike a lot. I do a lot of this. Just the lifestyle is different. You're less toxic environment in terms of pollution and all of that, and certainly, it makes a difference, man. It just your skin is better. You're eating better. You're eating more fresh food. Let me tell you this, bro. Don't you realize that there are foods that are literally illegal?
Yeah, GMOs,
Yeah, GMOs, and also let me give you another one. High fructose corn syrup.
Yes, sir. I was about to say that. Right.
That thing is in everything. They don't sell it in most places outside of the States. It's illegal to have it in food, but it's in virtually everything in America. And we're talking about something that is literally toxic. It contains mercury, and that can cause a lot of serious brain issues and all kinds of problems. But it's legal, to put it in food. But to get to the core of your question, that's how I gauge it in terms of I feel better. I feel invigorated. I got a friend, and he's younger than me. He's about like a year younger than me, and we're on the phone talking. He still lives in the States. He's married. Does that in the whole thing. And you know, our guys talk. We were just saying, hey, man, how many push-ups can you do, right? So I asked him because he's going through things, man. He's suffering with certain health conditions, and I used to warn him when we were younger. He used to eat like a lot of crap, right? But I say, hey, man, how many push-ups can you do? He's like, man, I can't even do 10. I was like, what? It's like, man, I could do at least 100. And I started doing push-ups while I was on the phone with him. I was like, man, I'm talking to you now doing push-ups, right? He got kind of mad at me because I was rubbing it in. But I'm just saying that's the difference, man.
Right.
You got a whole nother form of invigoration.
No, right, and I think a lot of it too. Now, you might just got superior genetics, man. You know, some people, men great earlier, some do less. You just might got great genetics because it's rare to see a man 51 with dark hair like yours. So you just might have superior genetics, or it could be because you left in the food and all that. Could be a combination of both. What would you say?
I think it's a little of both. I do have some gray. You know, you can't really see it in that picture, but you know, if you get close enough to me, you'll see the gray. But it's pepper. It's pepper gray.
It's pepper gray, right?
And it's also in my beard. But it's not. Most of my beard is still black.
Yes, sir. Right.
I don't use. In fact, it's kind of annoying because I have to. I find myself clipping those little grays that come up because they look like it's something in my beard, right? As opposed, because like with you, it's more. It's all unified, right? It's just a gray beard. I kind of wanted to kind of get all one color because it's getting frustrating at this point to just clip those because they're coming in more and more now. But
well, mine is a mixture. Actually, I've been taking copper, man. I think I had a nutrient deficiency. But if you see on the side, it's like black here and it's white here. So it's salt and pepper. But up here is definitely more gray. But it used to be grayer than that. But I realized that people say it's genetics, but it really was a nutrient deficiency. So I started taking 2 milligrams of copper.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so sometimes if you have a copper deficiency, but that goes back to the food. But something else I'm gonna share with you, and I know it rains a lot, and I'm gonna let you go after this. Also, counsel, Mr. G, is men are having erectile dysfunction issues because of the high fructose corn syrup, the environmental toxins, and I would say that men in America don't have their testosterone levels are lower because they're sick, and they don't even realize they're sick because of the toxins, the GMOs in the foods, and I think they're doing it intentionally to emasculate American men. What would you say about that?
Oh yeah, definitely. In fact, they did a study and they talked about how a lot of these soy products, you know, are raising the estrogen levels in men, and they really started pushing those, along with the GMOs and all of that. But yeah, they were definitely pushing those soy products a lot, and I think that actually, like you said, not only reduces the, you know, through the diet, reduces the testosterone, but it raises the estrogen levels.
Right. This like is almost like social engineering, but also psychological engineering too.
Yeah, I mean, you know, because then you got a bunch of weak, girly men running around, and you wonder why you can't get nobody for your military.
Right.
You wonder why, because you didn't sit there and systematically, you know, made the dudes a bunch of pansies, and you wonder why they're running around, you know, scared of every damn thing, being all, you know, extra sensitive. You know, creating that simp energy, that simp demon running around, and they wonder where it's coming from. But it's not just the socialization, but it's also coming through the diet as well.
Right. And you have a lot of men, man, that are so weak now. They're very emotional. They're not as strong. They even did studies, Counsel Mr. G, where they say like men like your grandfather, your great grandfather, or men from the past, they could be in their 70s, but they said the testosterone levels are a lot higher than men that are around our age. And a lot of that is due to diet, lack of rest, and all these environmental toxins. But before I let you go, I'm going to let you go now. What'd you get from the show briefly? And I'm going to end the stream, brother.
Oh, it was a great show, man. I appreciate having this conversation. You know, I think we kind of went a little longer than I thought, but it's good. I really liked it. You know, I think that this is a very good thing to do in terms of just showing that we can get together, have these type of conversations. We can go deep, we can make it relevant, and we can just basically start pushing back at these false narratives. Because I think if we don't do it, and that's one of the reasons why I still just kind of, you know, like to speak in this space. I don't know if I ever told you this, but and I mentioned it before on my shows. I used to write blogs like back in 2007, 2008, and that's how I first got into this space. And I was going by a different name then. I had a different pseudonym, and I was talking about some of these same topics. And this was before what would be considered the Manosphere and all of that. I found that I was getting a huge following. I would get like 30, 40,000 people reading my blogs. And I ran into some of the same problems because one of the message boards that I was owned by a black lady, and I started getting censored on her program, and so that's why I kind of identify what's going on with Obsidian. Once you make an argument that they can't defeat, then they try to deplatform you, and I experienced that back then.
Right.
This was before I started, thinking about YouTube or anything like that. I didn't see the potential in YouTube. I was just doing that on the side while I was, working my regular life, and then I would just do that as an outlet. But then I went over to a brother's site, and then that's a whole nother thing that happened with that. But the bottom line was, I always like to have at least an outlet. Even I don't want to be so insular that I just forget about the fact that what happens to you guys, even though I don't live in the States, it still affects me. And I don't want to lose sight of that. And sometimes it's easy to do because I get caught up in my life here, and if I don't click on, that's why you guys may not see me for a while, because I'm working on different projects and so forth. But I always kind of want to stay grounded. That's why I went ahead and created these channels, so it gave me a reason to be here. Not that I'm trying to necessarily blow up or anything. We try to put out good content, and you guys that want to rock with us, you can rock with us. But I just feel it's important for us to just, even if we're not around each other, we just have to still understand that we're in the same boat.
No, I totally agree. Well, listen, I'm going to end this stream, man. Thank you to all the brothers that showed love. I'm going to actually send a shout out to all these people that showed love on tonight. I'm going to do it now. But shout out to my man, R. Drizzle, for the 5 earlier. Shout out to the Real Bravado Network. He gifted 5 memberships for the Kosher Clinician. I appreciate that. Shout out to Gregory Scotland for the $10 super chat. Shout out to Salty Balls for the 50 spot. Shout out to the International Quiet Storm for the 50 spot. Shout out to Salty Balls once again for the $10 spot. Shout out to Gregory Scotland for the 20. Shout out to the Real Bravado Network, as he was the #1 sponsor of the stream, followed by Salty Balls. Shout out to Top Gun for the 10. Shout out to Gregory Scotland once again. Salty Balls once again for the 10. Shout out to Gregory Scotland once again for the 20. Shout out to Barry Hamilton for the 5. Shout out to Andre with Love Crossing Borders for the $40,000 pesos. Shout out to Gregory Scotland once again for the 5. Barry Hamilton for the 5. Salty Balls for the 20. Jamari for the 10. And yours truly, Council Mr. G, for the 50 spot. Man, you guys came in big on tonight. I really appreciate it. And then also shout out to Salty Balls once again for the 2. So let's stay in contact, brother. We will do this again, man. Much love and blessings, man. And if I find out where you living at, man, I might have to come up there where you at, man. Fly out, man. You laughing? I'm dead serious, brother. Listen, man. My money about to come up, man. So I got to find a way to write stuff off. So you will be the perfect person for me to go fly out. We can chop it up, man. We do some business in wherever you're located. So
no problem. Yeah. We're going to chop it up.
All right, man. We'll talk about it. All right, man. Salute. I'll see you soon, brother.
Okay, bro.
All right, take care. All right, guys. We're going to end this stream on tonight. Shout out to Council Mr. G for coming through. We're going to end the stream on tonight, guys. Thank y'all for tuning in. You guys have been thorough and strong. I really appreciate all the love and support. 11 minutes after the hour, 10 o'clock, guys, we're going to sign off. Shout out to the old man for coming through, guys. And we're going to end this stream. And, guys, y'all get y'all some rest. And then remember, guys, that it's all about black male agency, black male empowerment, and also the right to self-determination.
Loser ass nigga.
Your video with comments about
He's a
certain
loser.
other female.
Just to let you niggas know, we don't need y'all. We want y'all, but we don't need you.
20 years later.
Our black men, we want all y'all back. Because we love you, we see you, kings, and most importantly, we need you. And most importantly, we need you.
And most importantly, we need you.
You can't.
If you a that's for the streets.
You can't delete the ski. You can't delete the ski.
I know a who used to suck dick every month of night.
You can't
delete your
When my friends go, it was simple. When the ends low, switch the tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, then I strike, I go hard day and night, yeah. I go hard day and night. 1 to 1, no surprise. See the hate in their eyes. My brothers blood money bleed. I got the game in the squeeze. What would you do for some green? What would you do for some blues? Go pick and choose the family the cheese. Some people not built like that. Some people get killed like that. Pressure like water, lights, mortgage. I've been at bills like that. Now I got kids like that. No wonder why I feel like that. Some people go to war for nothing. Me, I go to war for something.
Before there was the Manosphere, I was. Before there was the internet, I was.
When the end's low, switch your tempo. I got right, I got heart, I won't die, I'ma fight. I go down, bet I strike. I go hard day and night. Money on the line, keep calling. Money on the books, need all that. My kids, they'll be ballin'. Got a real bankroll, not for Instagram. My mama on the line, keep calling. Praying for me, know I need all that. Told me it's not about ballin'. Real blessed, but I'm still sinning, man. What would you do for a win? What would you do for your friends? What if this life is a foe? What if the dogs pretend? What if you rode to the end? What if you started again?
Fire! The kosher condition.
This is Kosher Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is Kosher Connection. 7 wonders, the whole world gotta listen. This is
Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, yeah. I'm so handsome. All in Carmine's with my Benzo, I'm so fancy. No romancing. Got my baby and she right, she make you vanish. No time to play, got book dates. Had a plan, only had to wait. Always knew I'd make a way. Send a bill, they send a pay. Keep it real, keep the record straight. Keep it real, no time to fake. All authentic in my own lane. I am me till I'm in the grave. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, ooh, never panic. Get a worry, send it up and then advantage. I can't stand it. Out of order way you move and see you scrambling. On offense, no defense. Stood strong, no weakness. Used to say I wouldn't beat this. Now they wish they could beat this. Table set, now tables turn. God's plan, don't say a word. Know the price, cause I know my worth. My time, get what I deserve. Trendsetter, I got style for you. Ain't seen you at the top, it's been a while for you. Big you up and they look down on you. Take one loss, no one's around for you. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop, I won't stop. I won't stop, no, 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 no. I won't stop. Tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just pull it out and count for nothing when I'm feeling great. Give my baby little more, just to spend it, and I'm always on go, I don't hesitate. Used to always know I make it, yeah. I'll be me until I'm in the grave, yeah. See my record, had to set it straight, yeah. I make to kill like 10 times 10. I got wires coming in, some in euros, some in sec, some in dollars, some in yen. I've been trying to keep my zen, keep my cool. Trying to keep the family fed, get my food. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. Did it, do it. I did it all, no gimmicks. I did it all, no fibbits. Now I got all these children, now I got all these clones. Now I got all you twinning, now I got all you thinking like all you winning. They tried to count me out, they tried to fill that doubt. They tried to ride my wig, they tried to knock me out. They tried to count my wins, they tried to show my L's. They tried to make me in, they tried, but where they now? Where they? Step in the spot and they stare at me. All of these battles will bear me. I swear that nothing compares to me. Feeling blessed, I won't stress. Beat the odds, you know the rest. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. They tried to count me out, I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account, now I got something to spend. Go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. Countdown, levitate, going up, elevate. Watch me demonstrate, on time, never late. I grind, celebrate, no pump fake, hesitate. I've been scoring every day, champagne Perrier. Since 9-3, been in the box, now I'm stepping up to home. Like straight out the sand lot, now I'm plotting on the globe. I work hard, I show love, that karma steady growing. Got this far, I go hard, let God take control. I was starving skinny, now my weight up, got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam, blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast, go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast, go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. Smell good, skin clear. This here my year. Hey, look up here. This here my tier. Same fit 4 days. I grind 4 ways. I play no games. All me, no blame. On the wave, my own wave. Can't stop my shine. In the lane, my own lane. Can't stop my grind. 40 yard in the V12 and like 1.5. At 19, I cleared 19 in a month, no lie. Oh God. I was starving skinny, now my weight up, got no energy for haters. See you trying, see you later. I'm shooting for the stars, need no laser beam, blowing like the greatest, but it's one who's always greater. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast, go deep, I OD on them. I OD. Apply pressure. pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. Go dummy, go beast on them. I go beast. Go deep, I OD on them. I go deep. Apply pressure, put heat on them. Put that 500 degrees on them. 500 degrees. I'm away. I'm away. I'm a one-to-one, I can never be you. Low me tools, no I can't be fooled. Low me tools, no I hate these dudes. I'm a one-to-one, I can never be you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Anything you could do, I could do better. I can do better than you. Drop my first single, let go, he rap. You thought it was a drought, that's cap. I get the front and I get the back. Lil Uzi the facts like that's a rack. Bought some new boots just to wear them out. Bought a new beamer, I run it to the ground. I used to say nothing, I bet they hear me now. Handle my business, no need to hear me out. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say less. Talking too much, say less. If it's less than a check, say less. If you can say it best, say less. I'm taking all best, say